For public participation, there are 3 ways to submit public comments. Submit written comments by the meeting day, or submit written comments during the meeting and attend the meeting in person.
How are you?
To submit written comments by meeting day, please email cityclerk@dalycity.org and include a public comment in the subject line. All written comments received by 4 p.m. on the meeting day will be provided to the City Council prior to the meeting. Please note, any email documents received after 4 p.m. on the meeting date are not guaranteed to be received by the City Council prior to the meeting. Comments are not read aloud into the record. During the meeting, you may visit www.dalycity.org/agendas to submit comments using the public comment form to address the City Council on specific item or during public comment period, such as comments delivered to the City Council and city staff during the meeting and may be read into the record at the time they are received. Also, to speak in the meeting on person, please complete a speaker card located at the entrance to the council member and submit it to a staff member as early in the meeting as possible. Now may we all rise for the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam City Clerk, may I have roll call, please?
Ms. Di Giovanni,
Present.
Dr. Rod,
Present.
Mr. Buenaventura, Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, present.
Ms. Manalo.
Present. Thank you very much. First and foremost, I just want to say Happy New Year's to everyone. This is our first council meeting for the year, and so I wish you all a Happy New Year. First on our agenda, we have a presentation. I have a proclamation on National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and let me read the proclamation. Whereas human trafficking is a public health issue and a crime that exploits the most vulnerable among us and weakens the health and well-being of individuals, families, and communities across generations. Whereas more than 20 years since the passing of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, human trafficking still exists, inclusive forced or fraudulent recruitment, harboring, or transportation of people for labor or commercial sex. And whereas an estimated 27.6 million people are subjected to human trafficking globally, including cases of human trafficking reported in every U.S. state and territory. And whereas human trafficking can happen to anyone, but certain populations are disproportionately at risk, including people affected by abuse, violence, poverty, unstable living situations, social disconnection, or discrimination. And whereas people can be trafficked in person and online in industries such as restaurants, domestic work, construction, agriculture, and factories, and by strangers or someone they know, including employers, partners, and family members. And whereas human trafficking can be prevented by building individual, community, and societal understanding and resilience, reducing social inequities, and addressing the conditions that contribute to exploitation. And whereas the state organization is dedicated to ensuring anyone impacted by human trafficking can receive services that provide individualized care, understand the impact of trauma, and incorporate cultural and linguistic needs. And whereas a successful response to human trafficking requires a coordinated, community-wide effort. And whereas people show that they have experienced human trafficking, have relevant perspectives and expertise, will engage and collaborate with them to develop and strengthen trafficking-related services and programs. Whereas every individual, family, community, and organization can contribute to enhancing human trafficking awareness, prevention, and response by learning about ways to help at cf.hhs.gov/OTIP. Now therefore, I, Jocelyn C. Manalo, Mayor of the City of Daly City, hereby proclaim the month of January 2024 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month, reaffirming our commitment to increase awareness and education on human trafficking, make resources available to assist individuals and communities impacted by human trafficking, and build diverse public-private partnerships to support a more comprehensive response to prevent and respond to human trafficking. And signed and sealed today, myself and the City Council. And I'd like to call up Ruth Robinson up. Thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening and Happy New Year, Mayor Manalo and council members. Thank you for issuing this proclamation bringing the crime of human trafficking to the public's attention. My name is Ruth Robinson. I'm the lay coordinator for the Northern California Coalition of Catholic Sisters Against Human Trafficking and a participant in the San Mateo County Human Trafficking Initiative. I am pleased to be here tonight to accept this proclamation on behalf of the San Mateo County Human Trafficking Program. Unfortunately, many people think human trafficking only happens in other countries, but they are wrong. It occurs throughout the United States and here in San Mateo County. In February 2023, the San Mateo County Superior Court sentenced 4 members of the Gamos family, owners of Rainbow Bright, an adult residential and childcare company with facilities in Daly City, to multiple years in state prison following their convictions for human trafficking and for stealing from and otherwise mistreating dozens of employees. The Gamos family specifically targeted members of the Filipino community for exploitation. In another recent example, in December 2023, Dwayne Robinson, a 48-year-old East Palo Alto man, was convicted of human trafficking and pimping. Robinson was captured in a sting operation when he brought a 22-year-old woman with him to a Redwood City motel in response to an ad on social media. Human trafficking happens to women and girls, men and boys, foreign nationals, and U.S. citizens. In 2021, the San Mateo County Human Trafficking Program conducted a voluntary assessment of local agencies and organizations and found that approximately 300 trafficking victims with some connection to San Mateo County were identified in 2020. That is an average of over 23 victims per month. The victims include minors and adults, victims of labor trafficking and sex trafficking, and we have no idea how many more there are living in the shadows. The San Mateo County Human Trafficking Program was created in 2015. It is the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office program in cooperation with the San Mateo County Police Chiefs and Sheriff Association. The program is currently staffed by Pamela Estes, the Human Trafficking Program Coordinator. The program hosts a monthly meeting called the Human Trafficking Initiative. I attend those meetings on behalf of the Catholic Sisters. The meetings are open to members of governmental, non-governmental, faith-based, and community organizations, and to members of the public who have a role or interest in the response to human trafficking within San Mateo County. The meetings focus on the response to human trafficking within the county, along with delivering relevant information on all aspects of human trafficking. The program works to strengthen the response to human trafficking countywide in several ways: by encouraging collaborative partnerships among county agencies and non-governmental organizations, by working to enhance the delivery of services to victims, by educating and training law enforcement and community groups, and by raising awareness about the crime of human trafficking through a variety of events throughout the year. One such event held on September 30th, 2023 was a Community Day of Action hosted by the program together with BAATC, the Bay Area Anti-Trafficking Coalition. On that day, volunteers were trained to raise awareness by encouraging hotels and motels in the county to comply with the mandate of California Civil Code Section 52.6 This statute requires that all hotels, motels, and bed and breakfast inns in California display a poster notifying the public that help and resources are available to victims of human trafficking. 46 community members participated, and as a result, by the end of December 2023, 100% of the 152 hotels, motels, and bed and breakfast inns in San Mateo County, including all of the hotels and motels in Daly City, had been personally visited and provided with a copy of the required poster, along with additional information about training for hotel staff on how to be aware of and how to respond to incidents of human trafficking. Additionally, because the month of January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, the San Mateo County Human Trafficking Program has constructed educational displays for public libraries in the county, and all 4 libraries in Daly City are participating and hosting these displays. To contact the Human Trafficking Program with any questions, to request training for your agency or organization, or to get more involved in the anti-trafficking movement, email stophumantrafficking@smcgov.org or visit the San Mateo County Human Trafficking Program website. Thank you for helping to raise awareness by issuing the proclamation. Thank you for inviting me to be here tonight, and thank you for your consideration and time.
Thank you so much, Ruth, for all of the work that you do to educate others on something that needs to be addressed. You mentioned like what happened right in Daly City with the Rainbow Bright workers. And it's really through community workers like yourself on the ground, being the watchdog to ensure that they have the resources and access, and that we also ensure that people know that they have to watch out and ensure that this doesn't happen in their communities. And so thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for being here today. And at this point, I know my colleagues will have some comments. I will ask Vice Mayor.
Ruth, thank you for coming in. I think it's important that we provided this proclamation to give awareness to the community about human trafficking. When we talk about human trafficking, it's more of the power dynamics of a system of dependency. You know, who has power over the next person? Why is that person dependent on this system? And usually it's tied to economics. And to understand this complicated system, one of the best ways is to provide awareness about it, education about it, because a lot of times the dehumanization becomes so normalized and becomes business as always, as normal. And so thank you for the work that you do. Justice for Rainbow Bright workers. And, you know, that's the reason why we're up here in the dais, to work together and to address these issues of oppression.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember DiGiovanni.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruth, for being here. I just want to say that, I don't know if you know, I know Pamela Estes knows that I'm a member of the National Council of Jewish Women, SF-CAT. We just had our annual conference, and before I begin, I want to say to everyone here that our Pamela Estes was nominated by her peers, which means agents that work within the human trafficking, and she won an award. We presented her with an award for her ongoing, and under her category, to fighting modern-day slavery and to be collaborative. So we just had our annual conference at the State Building in San Francisco, along with the other federal agents. And as you know, that is a collaboration that unlike anybody else understands, right? So when it first started, I'm proud to say that we were the founders of the anti-human trafficking. And Antonia Levine's is, we love her, she's the executive director. So there are a lot of things in the pipeline so that we're going to talk to, and I'll be meeting with our deputy chief over here and be supporting your efforts at the county level, and have been updated, and we'll be bringing in someone to help us try to do better and to get those resources here in our county, and to change some of the ongoing prevention of getting access to housing, that people don't realize that when you are flown here as a victim of human trafficking and to SFO, and there is no place for you to go. We take our victims of human trafficking, sadly, to another county. So I think that, I know that I have people that, are working on this. And I will be in a meeting next week, and I'm sure you'll know about it through Miss Estes. And she's just a testament of one of the many things, and the gentleman in Santa Clara County. One of the biggest things that we also learned, for the first time, there was a case for the very first time in human trafficking. Usually these agents get up and tell a story. For this time during texting. And they were able to work together and collaborate and bring down human traffickers for the very first time. It is very, very, 24 hours a day they worked. And I'm not exaggerating. These are the things we don't see. But I'm here to testify for that because having, we work with the FBI and the Homeland Security, and speaking with them the other day and getting updates on how it is. And we have a lot in San Mateo County, sadly. And it's something that we need to keep up on. So you'll probably be seeing me with Pamela in the next couple of weeks. And we have some things in the pipeline with Antonia. And I can't say enough because you guys are like unsung heroes. And it is modern day slavery. That people need to realize that. And as National Council of Jewish Women say, we have to stop it. We have to stop it. So we're still fighting it. And I know that you've been at the home, and I know the work you do. So thank you.
Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
And please give her my love. And I wanted to give her a shout out. I didn't know if I could. And I asked the agents, I said, can I publicly say that she got this award? They said, no, you need to praise her because, people don't realize the overwhelming things that the collaboration does from county to county, state to state. And I know that our police officers and what is involved, right? It's a lot that's involved. Thank you very much, from the bottom of my heart.
Well,
Thank you. I'll be
Thank
seeing you
for-
soon.
I hope
Thank you.
so. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you. Ms. Robinson, thank you so much for being here. Actually, I got a lot of information based upon the awareness and the continued awareness of human trafficking. As a former law enforcement professional myself, I remember being assigned to the computer forensics unit, to which I have a specialty on retrieving data that has been erased. And what we primarily focused was on child porn and child exploitation. I recall many times going out and I said to myself, as what you have said, we have no idea as to how many is out there or how much is being reported. So I would take it that extra step just to cross all the T's and dot the I's. And I think that's very, very important for our law enforcement because they have to basically turn over any rocks. Don't just go out there and take a report, but wait a minute, I think something else is going on here. So kudos to law enforcement and what they do. What you've done here today is you brought about additional awareness. Human trafficking wasn't a term that was used 20 years ago. And now it has a new twist because it pertains to not only children, but also adults. And I think that's very, very important. So getting back to law enforcement, and later I was assigned to the juvenile division. And instead of just looking at the crimes that's committed by juveniles, we also look at those who are committing crimes against juveniles, which I think is very, very important. So I want to say kudos to you. Continue the great work. Let's continue to bring awareness to the community. And as per the section you quoted, 152.6, I like that idea, almost similar to the medical profession where they are mandated reporters. Any signs of abuse or injuries should be reported. But in this particular case, the victims of human trafficking are probably so afraid. But you know what? If they see that sign in the window and they say, oh, okay, and, they'll just go along with the program, but they know that the sign and remember what's on the sign. So I think that's an excellent idea. And also learn about, maybe we can get awareness out about the sign language, like I need help. I saw it on YouTube, I don't know, help or, and it's easy to distinguish it because I think that would really help, not only in human trafficking, but in any other sort of violent or potentially violent crime. So again, Ms. Robinson, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all the work that you do, and thank you for coming to Daly City. As mentioned by my colleagues, the work that you do is so important, and we look forward to continuing to work with you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
all.
you. At this time, actually, I will do a point of personal privilege in regards to the agenda. I'm going to move item 3 to 2, given that we do have children in the audience, and thank you very much. Okay, thank you. So I will introduce Kate Comfort Har, Executive Director of HIP Housing, for our HIP Housing's 2024 calendar contest winner, Sienna Sigmiller.
That was very kind of you. Thank you. Appreciate that. So I am Kate Comfort Har, Executive Director of HIP Housing, and I'm joined tonight with our Development Director, Sabrina Wilson. And I want to thank you for allowing us to be here tonight and for being on the agenda. We're here to do something pretty fun. For those of you who don't know HIP Housing well, since 1972, we've been providing affordable housing solutions throughout San Mateo County, and we are listed as a trusted affordable housing partner in all 21 housing elements, including yours. Last year we worked with over 2,500 people, and we housed 1,241 people in our programs. Last fiscal year we worked with 203 people from Daly City, and we received 43 inquiry calls about our programs. That number is actually up 8% since July to December. So we're seeing an increase in the calls and inquiries on affordable housing. We house about 60 people here in Daly City, and of those, 22 are in our home sharing matches. 30 people are in properties we either own or manage here, all affordable, and 8 individuals are living through our self-sufficiency program. The work that we do to help people become and remain housed is absolutely vital. But on behalf of HIP Housing, I'd like to thank you for your partnership, and I'd like to present you with our 2024 calendar. And this is the fun part. Each year we ask children from around the county in grades kindergarten through 5 to draw pictures and to tell us what home means to them. This year we received over 350 entries, from which we selected 13 winners from 10 different cities. And this evening we have a very special guest. I'd like to turn to March, if you wouldn't mind. March introduces Sienna. Sienna is a first grader from Daly City and our March calendar contest winner. Sienna joins us here tonight, and I would love to invite her up to be able to share her quote with you so you can hear from her what housing means to her. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to bring her up.
Please come up, Sienna.
Do you want to go, maybe go up here so council can see her better? Come on over here. So you can see her better. Do you want to go up or do you want to stay here? Go ahead, you go up. Stay here, okay. Oh, good. Yeah. Look at you. Okay, ready? Go ahead.
I feel at home. I feel safe and loved.
Thank you.
Well, before you leave, Sienna, we do have a certificate of commendation for you. And I'll read it out loud. It says, "It's with great pleasure to present this certificate to Sienna Sigmiller for the HIP Housing Calendar Contest. Congratulations on having your artwork included in HIP Housing's 2024 calendar and for representing our city. Thank you for your participation and good luck in all your future endeavors." And I just wanted to share with everyone that's watching, this is her artwork. Oh, and I love an autograph. Our future leaders.
Once again, thank you for having us tonight and for welcoming Sienna and such a lovely moment for her. We hope the calendar serves as a beautiful reminder as to how important affordable housing is to everyone, especially our children. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Before you leave, I do want to say some comments. This is so important that you mentioned around affordable housing and being able to have opportunities. And what HIP Housing does is really great, from matching individuals to home sharing, to all of the programs that you do. So I want to say thank you for the work that you do and also involving the community in sharing what home means to them. And I think that was really special where she said, she talked about her home and how she felt safe and like really, it's just really beautiful. I feel safe at home and loved. And with that, I think that's how important it is to have a place to lay your head, a place that you can call home. And HIP Housing does that. So thank you for what you do and what you continue to do for our city and the county of San Mateo.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, Kate and Sabrina, thank you for coming. Sienna, thank you for your wonderful drawing. I think these calendars are so important because I think one thing that this calendar represents is that it represents something that's very pure, right? When we talk about a child's creativity, it's unfiltered. And it's when you draw something, you illustrate something, it comes straight from the heart without the filtering of years of dissuadement when you become an adult. And when we talk about home, this is what home's about, right? It's about where the heart is at. It's the bright colors, it's the sunshine. And along the lines with the mayor, you know, we have to continue to fight for affordable housing, especially here in the Bay Area. So thank you for the work that you always do.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember DiGiovanni?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, HIP Housing is way ahead of their time. I just read an article, I think it was in the New York Times this morning, whatever, because we have the most aging population in this county, but not only that, and the nation is moving towards the age of 65 and up. I read the stats, and then I knew that they were quoting that they were starting organizations like our HIP Housing to make sure that seniors can stay in their place and young people can come in and share, then they actually end up having, helping them with their chores or if they need grab bars or whatever it is that you guys need to make sure that they age in place. Because that's been, I would say at the Commission of Aging and at our county and everything, we are having an issue with, they were saying even transitioning more and more to nursing home. And that's sad, because they should be able to stay in their home, and that's what you provide. And this young lady gets to see that just because of you and your foresight, the young families with the high rents that we have here in Daly City and all the high cost of groceries and everything else, that we need to make sure, and we have the ability, but if we have the ability, we need to take the action and not just make it affordable, because affordable means you have to have an income of $100,000. That's, to me, is not affordable. We need a middle income. we need a low income. And then I see we have a labor person in the back, that we create jobs. And a lot of our tradespeople, they need to be able to be employed in their local community so they can also keep a roof over their head and have wages that they can actually live on. So there's a lot to provide, and HIP housing is a big part of it. And the programs are not just one, when you first started, I remember, they have grown, I mean, immensely. So I think that more and more support and more resources that need to be provided. Because when they say, the state is telling us, build, 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 you have to build so much housing, but we need to make sure not just to build the housing, we need to build it so people can have a home and have a place they can call home, recreate, socialize, and actually have stability. Because it's a prevention of homelessness, yes, but that is a duty. That's a duty that we should have as humanitarians, and making it so the way that the greed doesn't get out of market. Because I just want to let my colleagues, they probably already know, there's a new bill. It's a SB, I'm not sure if it's 244. That now it's, you have to keep up with the housing bills, right? And I don't know if you heard, and it's about building only market rate. And I'm like, I couldn't even believe I heard this. I said, so I'm going to do some more research. And we as a council and local electeds, we need to say, hey, maybe but we need all housing levels, but don't tell us at our local level, and I'll say it right here, that we have to build just market rate. Because in our community, these people are working 2 or 3 jobs, and some are transitioning to trade unions or transitioning to whatever, and they shouldn't have to do that. They need time with their family. So it's a responsibility. So we need to take back and think. Market rate means what? 1.3 million for a house?
If you're lucky.
That's, I don't know. Even professionals, and we have a lot of professionals on our council, that's a lot of money, right? And he's a professor. So, and his wife is a professor. So that's a lot. Dr. Rod, am I right?
Oh, yeah.
And even having whatever, it's just ridiculous. So it's up to us to help control it here at a local level. And then we also have to say, stop, we're going to do our part, yes, but we need to make sure it's our community, and that our community, which we value so much, we say about the diversity, we don't want to push them out. And that's what's happening. I live at Westlake Apartments. I see the U-Hauls come. It's heartbreaking when a child is taken out of their school and their families are split apart. That's terrible. So take it seriously, got support, and you, young lady, you're quite an artist, and you got a big heart. So no matter, follow your heart. That's what I can tell you. I'm a firefighter's daughter, and when you follow your heart, you can't go wrong. So thank you for this, because it's something we can cherish. We really appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you.
Councilmember Sylvester.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Sienna. Sienna, thank you so much. Sienna S., it is? Okay, the reason why I asked, because my granddaughter's name is Sienna, and her last name begins with the letter S. She's 1.5. 1.5, 2. But she likes to draw. I'm definitely going to show this to her. And it also means a lot to me because of how close the names are. In addition, I went through the entire calendar, and I kind of looked deeper as to what is the thoughts going on in these children's minds as they draw. And as you will notice, there are different types of homes. The May, for instance, is multi-unit and even had apartment doors numbered down at the bottom. Wow. But it's still home. And then if you look at the November one, this is obviously something called home, but it might be in their, is it November? Yes, it might be in their backyard because it looks like a tree house, but still it is home. So I don't know if I'm overthinking this, but it goes to show that in various assets and facets of life, folks live in different places, but it's a place that they call home. I want to, Kate, I want to say, I think this is a unique concept. For those who don't know, Councilmember Di Giovanni kind of stole some of the thunder, but what impressed me so much about hip housing is that if you own a home and have space to help someone else out, you can put that information up at hip housing and they will try to find a match for you, other than try to find low income resources, who's building, who's developing. But what about homes that are already existing? And as Councilmember Di Giovanni says, senior age, well, I'm at my senior age, but I got 8 grandkids, so I won't have to worry about being displaced, but I may go into a home one day. But anyway, it's a unique concept, and completely, you will always have my support. And especially for the children, it's very, very important because this calendar shows what home means to them. So again, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see you again, and keep up the great work.
Thank you very much. I look forward to coming back and sharing a little bit more about some of the new programs that we have too,
Okay.
specifically for seniors, specifically for navigating the housing landscape, and specifically for kids. So thank you again.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you so much. You're always welcome, and we look forward to hear about those programs.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations again to the Villanueva and Sig Miller family. You should be very proud.
Hey.
Go Sia! Now moving on to item number 2, pension presentation with GovInvest Senior Consultant Ira Summer.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Dr. Vice Mayor, and council members. Tonight, GovInvest Senior Consultant Ira Summer will provide you with a pension funding update. Mr. Summer last presented to you 2 years ago in January 2022. I will now turn it over to Mr. Summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
That's good. I apologize that I did not bring an autographed copy of this. I saw that was the right thing to do. So basically, this is an update from what we talked about a couple of years ago. So I'm going to go through it a little bit faster, but when you have questions, stop me, ask the questions. This is really all about you understanding where things are so that you understand to be able to take action moving forward when it's time to take action. So I'm going through in basically 4 sections. Pension basics, talking about how pension plans work, how your pension plan works. Talk about how your agency, how Daly City is doing relative to other agencies throughout California. Talk about what's changed since the last actuarial valuation reports and what the impact of those changes are. And then talk about what you might do to address your unfunded liability moving forward. Now, in terms of the basics, the mathematics surrounding pension calculations, very complicated. The concepts are very simple. The money coming into CalPERS is supposed to be enough to cover the money going out of CalPERS. That's what all the math is all about. Money in equals money out. The money coming out is a combination of benefits and expenses. And of those two, by far the largest are the benefits. CalPERS expenses are 10 basis points, or 0.1% of the assets, making CalPERS one of the most cost-effective benefit administrators in the country. The money coming into the plan comes from basically 3 sources: your employee contributions, city contributions, and investment income. And of those 3, by far the largest is investment income. Depending on how well funded you are and how the markets are doing, investment return is going to be anywhere from 60 to 90% of the money coming into the plan. Now, that's great news in terms of keeping your costs down over the long term. It's not so great news when the markets fluctuate and you need to make up the difference, which comes through city contributions. Now, when CalPERS does this, they try and level things out as much as they possibly can. They have actuarial methodologies to smooth out contribution rates from year to year. They also take into account a lot of assumptions as to what's going to happen moving forward. The assumptions come into two categories. Economic assumptions, ones related to money, like investment return, inflation, salary growth, and demographic assumptions, ones related to people. Things like, when are your employees expected to retire? How many of your police officers are expected to become disabled and start collecting benefits earlier? How long are your retirees going to live? How many employees are actually going to leave without collecting benefits? All that taken into account to make sure there's always enough money to cover all the benefits that you promise to all your employees at any point in the future. CalPERS does this based on your people and your benefit structures. The city of Daly City has two miscellaneous benefit structures. One of them that's referred to as a classic miscellaneous structure is for people who were hired 2012 and earlier. That's set up here as what's called the 3% at 60. That means that if somebody retires at age 60, they get 3% of their pay for each year that they worked throughout their career. So if they got hired at 30, retired at 60, that's 30 years, 30 times 3%, 90%. They get 90% of their pay every month for the rest of their lives. It grows each year. It says they're a COLA by a maximum of 2% per year. And to get this, those employees pay a fixed amount of 8% per year. People hired 2013 and later are under the PEPRA formula. PEPRA stands for Public Employee Pension Reform Act. It was passed during the Brown administration, the most recent Brown administration. He keeps coming back every few decades. What they did with that is they set up a benefit structure, the 2% of 62. That is the same for every miscellaneous employee in every agency throughout California. So you're no longer competing with Colma or San Francisco or the county of San Mateo to try and figure out who has the best benefits. You all have the same benefit structure. The other big difference is that the employee contribution now is set up as 50% of normal cost. Normal cost is the actuarial term for for the cost of each year of service as it is earned. So the employee pays half of the normal cost. The employer pays half the normal cost. That's actually the way CalPERS was originally designed in the 1920s. You pay 50-50 as you go through this. The safety benefit structure for your police and fire, similar. There's a classic benefit structure for people hired 2012 and later. That's 3% of 55, similar, with a 9% of pay contribution. PEPRA employees get a 2.7 at 57. Their employee contributions, half in normal cost, much higher, 11.5%. So the employees are actually paying more. The benefits a little bit less. We see that in the PEPRA structure overall. What that means is as your employee population shifts from being mostly classic to mostly PEPRA, your costs are going to be coming down. In the most recent valuation, the June 30, 2021 actuarial valuation report, it's not the most recent, the second most recent one, you had about 60% of your people being classic, 40% being PEPRA. Within the next 5 years, that's going to flip around. So 60% will be PEPRA, 40% will be classic as your longer service people leave and the new people hired come in as PEPRA. Within about 10 years, it's going to be 3/4 PEPRA. Within 10 years, 20 years, you're going to have 95% PEPRA. And as that happens, your normal cost, your cost for each year of service as it's earned, is going to be coming down. Right now, it's an average of about 14.5%. It'll be coming down to about 8.5% over the next 30 years. So that part of your cost, because of this benefit change that was put into account by the California legislature, signed by Governor Brown in 2012, your normal cost is going to be coming down across time. Now, how do your costs compare to other agencies throughout California? When we look at that, what we try and do is we look at it in two metrics. Two most important metrics most people consider. One is the funded percentage. That compares your plan assets against your plan liabilities. So we figure out how well funded you are right now. Are you on target? That's calculated as of June 30, 2022. The reason we picked that date is because that's the date of the most recent actuarial valuation report released by CalPERS. CalPERS released the June 30, 2022 actuarial evaluation report in August of 2023. That report is used to determine your required contribution to CalPERS for the 24-25 fiscal year. The second metric is total contribution percentage. That's the ratio of your actuarially determined contribution, the required contribution to the plan, divided by your projected pensionable compensation. We do it as a percentage of pay so that we can compare you to cities of different sizes, and it's not always just going to be the biggest city has the highest cost. So it determines how much of your budget is being taken up by pension costs. We do this for the fiscal year, the 24-25 fiscal year coming up, again, because that's the most recent number available. When we do the comparison, we like to do the comparisons on an apples-to-apples basis. Again, the actuarially determined contribution is a combination of your normal costs, talked about that before, the cost for each year of service as it's earned, plus a payment towards the unfunded liability, an amortization payment. So to the extent that you are behind target, you're less than 100% funded, this payment helps you catch up over a 20-year period to get to 100% funded. The combination of the two is your total employer contribution, and that's the minimum amount that the city can pay to CalPERS. CalPERS is always happy to take more and more of your money if you want to give it to them. So when we do the comparison, we compare you against other agencies that are not in the risk pool. CalPERS has what they call a risk pool for agencies with fewer than 100 employees, active employees in their plans. Those employees, they share risks because they're very small. It's like getting insurance. It's like pooling everything. On the other hand, you're big enough, you can stand on your own. So we compare you against the other agencies that are not in the risk pool, what CalPERS refers to as agent plans. The miscellaneous plan, we compare against other miscellaneous plans, the safety plans against safety plans. And this is what we do. You're 75% funded as of June 30, 2022. That puts you pretty much in the middle where most of the agencies are throughout California. Most of the agencies in California, again, you see between 60 and 80%. So you're doing a little better than average, but pretty much the average where most of the agencies are at this point in time. In terms of your contribution rate, 40%, while it seems a little high, again, that's right in the middle where most of the agencies are for their miscellaneous plans throughout California. On the safety side, again, safety benefits are higher than they are for miscellaneous employees. Safety members also have a shorter career. So what we find is you have less time to fund their benefits. Safety plans tend to be less well-funded. You're 66% funded, not as well-funded, but again, right in the middle of where the agencies are throughout California. And the employee contribution percentage, 58%, is also right in the middle. So overall, you're in good shape. You're not in phenomenal shape, though. This is not like you can go bragging to everybody else and go, we got a better pension plan than you do. You're pretty much in the middle where everybody is. So that means that you're in good shape, but there's still work to be done. So what's happened since the last valuation? That's as of June 30, 2022. As I mentioned before, the thing that has the biggest impact on your funded percentage moving forward is always investment return. Last 2 years, the year ending June 30, 2022, the year that's already included in there, CalPERS announced a return of minus 6.1%. That was one of the 5 worst years in CalPERS investment history. Not necessarily CalPERS' fault. Every investment category lost money in the year ending June 30, 2022. First time that happened since the early 70s, so in about 50 years. Followed that up in the year ending June 30, 2023 with announcing a return of 5.8%. A little bit below their target, absolutely mediocre, but after a year of terrible, mediocre is great news. This slide shows year by year. The green bars are year by year what CalPERS has earned over the last 40 years. What you'll see are strong returns in the 80s and 90s when the markets took off, and then a lot of volatility starting in 2000, ups and downs throughout that time period. The red line is CalPERS' assumed rate of return, their discount rate. That is a lot more steady. It looks relatively straight. It's not exactly straight though. Back in the 1980s late 80s, when I started working with on CalPERS agencies, it was 8.75%. Right towards the end, 1999, 2000, when I was the auditing actuary for CalPERS, we had it drop down to 8. Slowly, moving it down across time. Main reasons we did that is that the investments in CalPERS are a combination of a lot of different types of investments: stocks, bonds, real estate, and the bond market. When I first started working in this field, early 1980s, bonds were earning 8-10%. By the time we got to June 30, 2020, that rate had come down almost to 0. So if 40% of your portfolio is earning nothing, it is really hard to earn 7%, 8%. When it's earning a fixed income of 8.5%, 9%, it's easy to earn 8.5% as the return. So it's slowly been coming down. Now, as it's been coming down, not as fast as the fixed income rates, CalPERS, in order to keep it relatively steady, has been getting more and more aggressive in their investments, diversifying their investments, putting it in things that have higher risk. Now, that gets them a better return over time, but what it also does is it increases the volatility, and you see that in the graph. You see the ups and downs. The stock market's been going up and down, and the volatility of the returns has been going up and down. Now, the good news, the Fed for the last year or so has been raising interest rates very rapidly in an attempt to save us from inflation by killing the economy. And so what we're going to see moving forward, CalPERS had a preliminary meeting in November. They are going to have another meeting in March, and they are looking to change their asset allocation a little bit. They are going to, instead of it averaging 6.8, they expect it to average somewhere closer to 7. They're taking a tiny bit of risk off the table, but not nearly as much as I expected them to. They are keeping the assumed rate of return at 6.8, at least for now. The next time under the law that they're supposed to look at this is 2025. And depending on where the markets go between now and then, they're going to have a serious discussion as to where that's going. I do want to also mention that the rates here are the rates that they announce in July of each year. These are the rates that show up in their valuation report. These are not the rates that they credit to your account. There's a slight adjustment, sometimes slight. They have about 10% of the portfolio in private equity. Private equity is a little bit harder to value. It usually takes about 3 months after the end of the year for them to value that properly. So when they do that, they account for it in your valuation reports, but don't show it in these numbers. So in the year ending June 30, 2021, when that shows 21.3, they actually credited to your accounts 22.4%. They found an extra $6 billion. In the year ending June 30, 2022, when it says minus 6.1, terrible year in every category, terrible year in private equity, it turned out to be a minus 7.5. So they charge your account that. This year, the 5.8 goes up to 6.2. So when they take the 10 basis points off the 0.1%, you'll be credited 6.1. Still below the 6.8 that they're assuming, so a little bit of loss, but only a small loss. Now, normally, and just a reminder, less money for investment return means more money is going to be required from contributions. Always money in equals money out. All the math comes back to that. Normally, this is the big thing that drives your funded percentage and your contribution rates. In the June 30, 2022 valuation, there was also one other element that had a big impact on your valuation. Inflation went up much higher than it had been before. It was 4.7% in the year ending April 1st, 2022. I say April 1st because they determine the cost of living adjustments for retirees based on the cost of living, the inflation for the year ending April 1st of each year. Now, if you remember earlier, I mentioned there was a limit, 2%, your COLA to retirees was maxed out at 2%. That's sort of true, but it is 2% compounded from the time they retire. Now, what that means is that if somebody has low inflation for a couple years, you have 1% inflation the first 2 years you're retired, you get 1% COLAs. If the next year it's 4, you can get the full 4% because the compounded over the 3 years is you get 1 plus 1 plus 4 gets you 6. That's adding it. It's not the right math, but it's close enough. You can get a higher COLA for a single year before coming back down to 2 after that. Normally, we don't talk about that. I haven't really had to talk about this since pretty much 2000 because inflation has been really low. This is what CalPERS refers to as their COLA bank. Well, on June 30th year, the COLAs for May 1st, 2022, the COLA bank kicked in. They had inflation of 4.7%. Now, the people who retired in 2019, you see the 2019 line at the bottom, got a 2.7% COLA that year, a little higher than the 2%. Everybody who retired between 2006 and 2014 got the full 4.7% as their COLA. So it helps them to pay a little more bills, paying for inflation. But because it is more than the 2% they were assuming, this is a loss. Higher benefits, higher liabilities, ultimately higher contributions. It increased liabilities about 1.5% overall. We're going to see something similar in the June 30, 2023 valuation. Inflation for the year ending April 1st, 2023 was close to 8%. Now, most of these COLA banks were already used up, so they got just the straight 2. But a number of people, I think, who retired, I think, between 2006 and 2010, got almost the full 8% COLA. So fewer people, but they got it because they hadn't been getting big cost of living adjustments while they've been retired before. On top of this, you, as City Council, have set up a Pension 115 trust. So you set up another account where you put some money, and ultimately that money is eventually going to go to CalPERS, but right now it is sitting in an account earning investment return to be used when you need it to be used. In the year end, in the 21-22 fiscal year, you stuck in $1 million. The 22-23 fiscal year, you did not stick any extra money in. As of June 30, 2023, you have almost $4.5 million in that account. Now, that's a good start. $4.5 million is nice. If I had $4.5 million in my backpack right here, I'd be very happy. But as we'll show in a moment, compared to your unfunded liability, you still got a little bit of work to do. So let's look at what that does, the impact of those changes. Let's start looking at it without the 115 trust. Green line is where we thought the unfunded liability was going to be based on the June 30, 2021 valuation. That was after the huge return, before the bad return. The red line shows what happened, the change in expectations based on that really bad year of investment returns, the minus 7.5 that was charged to your account, and the extra COLA that was given out. You'll see your unfunded liability went from about $120 million to about $220 million. Not quite doubling, but pretty close to it during that time period. Significant increase. The purple line on top is taking into account the slight investment loss and liability increase that's going to be kicking in the June 30, 2023 valuation. Again, expectations are it's going to get down. We were expecting it to get down to 0 about 2039. Now it's going to be about 2044. Funded percentage sort of shows the same thing the same way. Your funded percentage, you were almost 85% funded. You dropped down about 12%. For the big investment loss, down to 73%. And another percent is expected to be dropped down in the June 30, 2023 valuation that'll be coming out in August of this year. Now, what that does to make that up, the reason you're going to be able to still get to 100% funded is they're going to ask you for more money. Remember, as I said before, money in equals money out. When the investment return isn't there, it gets filled up by city contributions. Green line is what we're expecting the city contributions to be as in the June 30, 2021 valuation. You were paying about $25 million. It was going to slowly come down across time. Instead, because of that huge investment loss, the contributions will slowly be moving up for the next 5 years. The reason it's slowly moving up instead of dramatically moving up is CalPERS has a methodology what they call a ramp. They ramp up the additional cost for investment losses over a 5-year period. So you will slowly be seeing that the costs go up. So by 3031 or the 3031, fiscal year 3031, contributions, instead of being about 22 million, are going to be about 50% higher, about 33 million. So significant increase. Your costs are going to be going up significantly over the next 7 years. So this is something, again, I hate giving bad news, but the sooner you get this news, the sooner you can start planning for it. And that's one of the most important things that you can do. Now, this is all without the 115 trust. Now, again, if we taking a quick look, the money in the unfunded liability jumping up to, contributions here. The orange here is the normal cost. Remember, I mentioned the contributions are a combination of normal cost plus unfunded liability. The orange is the normal cost. That one's pretty steady, pretty consistent across time. It's coming down as a percentage of pay because some of your people are going into PEPRA. More people going into PEPRA. It's going up a little because payroll is going up, basically balancing each other out over the next 15 years. But the unfunded, the payment to pay off your unfunded liability, that's where the significant increase is coming up. It's going from being about 2/3 of your contributions to about 80% of your contributions over the next 7 years. So significant increases in your unfunded liability payments are what is causing your rate to go up, and that is why we're going to be talking about addressing unfunded liability right after this. So again, you made a good start by putting money into the 115 trust. Now, the blue line is without the 115 trust. The green line is with the 115 trust. Again, it's a start. It's better than nothing, but compared to the total unfunded liability, not significant at this point. But I don't want to underplay it because I used to be a marathon runner. You don't start running a marathon by just going out and finishing a marathon. You go out by taking a few steps, walk a few blocks, run a few blocks. You're starting the process. And that's an important thing. That's a valuable thing. You're going in that direction. The funded percentage, again, a little bit better, not huge at this point. But again, if you keep moving in that direction, if you keep taking steps, you're going to be getting better and better as it goes along, and it will roll and compound on top of each other. Contributions don't actually change because until you give CalPERS the money, the contributions are not going to be changing. So, what can you do? Well, addressing unfunded liability is the big issue. Why? Well, most of your current contributions are due to payments towards unfunded liability. Unfunded liability is basically a loan from CalPERS. And they're loaning you that money at their current interest rate, 6.8%. That makes it an expensive loan, even where interest rates are now. So the lower you can make your unfunded liability, the lower contributions are going to be. Some potential approaches, different cities address it different ways. Some cities have a windfall of money they get from someplace. I don't know if they're playing Powerball. I don't know what they're doing, but they have some extra money that comes in. They stick it in, and they put a chunk of it in the pension. Others put a little bit at a time to get there. Sometimes budgeted amounts saying, okay, we're going to find a way to find an extra $500,000 each year and set it aside. Others wait till the end of the year, see what the surplus is in the budget, and take a percentage of that surplus and set it aside in pension. The important thing is to realize, look, pensions are not glamorous. None of the kids sat around and stayed for our pension presentation. So I'm a little upset about that. I really wanted them to hear about this, but it's important that you start taking steps towards it. It's got to be a priority. And again, it's never going to be number one. I don't expect that. But if you can at least put some of that money away, you're going to be getting somewhere. When you do get it, where does it go? Well, some of it may go directly to CalPERS just to pay off the unfunded liability directly. Some of it may go into a 115 trust. Other cities sometimes keep it in an internal reserve. The internal reserve was one that I strongly discouraged when interest rates were pretty close to zero. Now that your internal money is probably earning closer to 4%, not as bad an idea as it was before, but you can probably still earn a little bit more in the 115 trust. I've probably taken up more time, and as much, I do realize, having worked in the pension area now for close to 40 years, that city council members burn out if I talk about pensions for too long, and I'm probably getting close to that threshold right now. So we're not going to go through the specific options, but if you direct your staff to come back with options, we will come back with some options and show you examples of how it might work and how much you might save over time. And that was all that I had to talk about.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And so, just to be very clear, that was the end of it. It wasn't because, we're at that threshold. But I think it was a well done presentation. I know that in the beginning, when we do look at kind of the unfunded liabilities, where we're at, what the city owes, it could be very complicated. But I will say the presentation you provided this evening was really great. I think that even for those watching, it's very dense information, but you provided visuals on what those entail and what they mean. You leave us at a place where, of course, there's going to be questions, because where my mind moves to is that's where we're at, but what are the projections moving forward, and what do we need to do to keep a steady pace? And I think about 4 or 5 years ago or whatnot, I do remember us paying down our unfunded liability, and that there was a goal to have it, I think in 2025, I'd be at a really good place. But unfortunately, when you show that graph where in 2021, not this graph, but well, yes, that, and then the other graph that showed the deficiency, like where unfortunately, like there was a really high return, and then it dropped to 5.8, right? And so when that happens, obviously what you've shared with us is now we're going to take a longer time to get to the goal that we previously had. So I think the question I have first and foremost is, what do we need to do in the next, I would say, the plan in the next 10 years, and seeing that forecast? I think this is very good, and because now we're looking at kind of a forecast, we're looking at what the actual numbers are, but then how do we plan moving forward is very important. But I know that we did take an extra step, and you mentioned, well, look, the $1 million that we did put aside has now grown into over 4 million, right? But then what can we continue to do? Because this is a long-standing issue, and something that many municipal agencies go through, whether city, county, and looking at where we're at now and where we're headed in regards to our next steps is what is important for me. In the forecast, and also next steps. But I will ask my vice mayor if he had any further questions.
I guess my question would be, or maybe just a response. It's like, like what the mayor was talking about in terms of a few years ago, we thought it was going to be, the forecast looked good, right? But we couldn't predict COVID, right? So I guess my whole thing too, just along the same vein, is I guess what are some consistent strategies that we can do with these kind of like unpredictable situations, right? Because ultimately, I think it'll affect my generation for sure, and the future generations. Because I'm probably halfway down my life, is to be honest, right? So we were basically planning for the future.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other questions? Councilmember DiGiovanni.
I agree that the presentation was great, and that I like how you go from when you show the projections, because I remember what CalPERS was when it kind of like you said, it wasn't their fault, but it was like really bad. I distinctly remember that being at a Council of Cities meeting, and it was a big discussion among on electeds that we were like, oh my God. That's when I think they proposed that at a Council of Cities thing about the 115 trust. And I think that cities were starting to think, oh, we got to do something different. We have to like transition and open up and think like beyond that. So I don't know if there's any plans ahead, you would know, Ira, if there's any, like, what else they're gonna come up with. But obviously, the 115 Trust is one, and see how it's helped us out. And it does go projections, I guess, when you come back and give us options. It appears that you will go all the way up to, projection-wise, 2050 for,
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we can do it out 30 years.
because usually the projections go,
I do want to make sure that we project out far enough that you see what happens, you know,
Correct.
when you finally
Beyond
get
10
to-
years.
Yeah, when you finally
Because-
get to 100% funded.
yeah, because
yes.
10 years is nothing really in time of employees and, pensions and liabilities. We want to make sure that we're well-funded enough that these people that make the city work and everything else, that they have reassurance to attract people and make sure that our city is what do you call it, on the right path. Because we want to make sure, we don't know the future, but if we do that, like you said, and then at the end, if there's money, like, whether you recommend at the end, or whether you recommend that we put the money, start putting it back when we have a surplus, and recognize that to make sure that we keep these pensions and the unfunded liability. Because I don't see that, quite honest. Like you said, we're on a pretty good trajectory, but we could do better. And I appreciate your expertise and look forward to the next time. And thank you, Mr. Nevin, as well, working with Mr. Nevin. So that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you. Welcome back. I'll start off with a little humor like you did earlier when you made mention about the autograph. I saw a whole bunch of your charts, 3% at 55, 3% at 60, and you said you've been in this for over 40 years. Do you get a pension, sir?
Do I get a pension?
Yeah, I'm just wondering because
From two of my employers I have pensions from, a number of them I don't.
okay, all right. No, I'm just being humorous there because I think you've worked a long time, but it's good to have you because you're a numbers man. Okay, a couple of questions that I have. If CalPERS makes money, like in the year it did, and some of that, Mr. Nevin can get back to me with this later on. I just want to keep it moving. Do retirees get a certain amount of COLA as a result of the pension fund doing good? So that's one of the questions.
Okay, that I can tell you right away is a no.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No, when things go well, retirees get what they're promised. When things go badly, retirees still get what they're promised. They don't get any extra. Just now, there are pension funds
Right,
in different
right,
places
right.
where they get part of the excess, what they call excess earnings.
Right.
But they're not really excess earnings. They're good years and bad years
Right.
balance out, and they go away. CalPERS is not designed that way.
Okay. Mortality.
Everybody dies. That's
Well, see now you're being, yeah, I didn't finish the part of,
okay.
because I think what also affects the pension system is folks are living longer
they are taking that into account.
in the
my-
actuarial studies.
The actuarial
Okay.
analysis takes into account, there is a built-in expectation that life expectancy will be growing across time,
Right, gotcha.
and that's built in.
Okay,
They will be taking a closer look at those again because it was pretty consistent that people were living longer and longer till COVID hit. And we had a lot of excess mortality that happened even in California,
right.
which did relatively well during COVID. And we're not sure yet what the impact of long COVID is on people's life expectancy.
okay,
So In the 2025 experience study and the 2029 experience study, again, it's going to take time, they're going to be looking at that and seeing what that impact is and seeing if they need to bring things back a little. We're hoping, everything is okay and people keep living longer. From the individual's perspective, living longer is fantastic. From your pocketbook's perspective, they keep living, you got to put more money in.
Which leads me to another point and segue to another point, which I will ask you in a moment. So, what if somebody receives a retirement and he or she has no beneficiary and say maybe they last 1 or 2 years after? What happens to all that money?
CalPERS has, in general, the big part of their benefit stops when they die. If they have a spouse, I think the normal form of the benefit is a 50% continuance to the
right.
spouse. So if they were going to get $1,000 a month and they die, their spouse would get $500 a month. If they don't have a spouse, nothing goes on. The minor exception to that is that the employee contribution, the amount that they get back when they retire, has to be at least equal to the amount of money they put in from employee contributions with interest. So if they worked a long career and retired and then died right away, their estate would get a certain amount of money.
Okay.
They can choose, now the 50% continuance to the spouse is included as part of what you're paying. They can choose to get a smaller benefit if they don't have a spouse. They can have the money go maybe to a grandchild or somebody that they have, but they reduce so that the total value that you're paying out over time is supposed to be about the same.
Okay. In the cases of a beneficiary being a spouse, what if the spouse remarries?
I believe that
They lose it.
they still continue to get the money even if they remarry.
Okay. Investments. And you made mention about real estate and bonds. Do you have any control, or do the members of CalPERS, I guess you have an investment board who decides on where to place the money?
They have an investment. They have an investment committee
Okay.
that is responsible for making the major decisions. They have advisors that are advising them. CalPERS has roughly $500 billion in money. They are one of the biggest pension funds in the country. They have some of the best investment minds in the world working for them because they pretty much have all the money.
Okay.
But the downside of being that big is when CalPERS puts money in, they have to put a lot of money in.
Right.
So they are basically putting it in, they invest in individual stocks, but they're mostly investing in in categories of investments.
Okay.
That's where they make the big differences.
If someone was to retire at a certain pay rate, can you tell me the estimated time before it would break even based upon contributions that they put in? Say over the years they put $300,000 into contributions for their retirement. Is there a break even where you say, well, you know what? Be glad you got your pension because you basically break even in 2.5 years after you retire based upon what you put in?
If we don't take into account investment return, again,
Okay, I'll accept that. Okay.
we'll start with that. It's relatively short. It's about probably 2-3 years. Now keep in mind that the money coming in, the cost for each, ignoring bad experience.
Yeah.
Even if CalPERS had done what they were supposed to do all the way across time, the normal cost is the cost for each year of service. For the classic members, they've been paying less than half the normal cost. So the employer has been making up the difference. When CalPERS started back in the 1920s and 1930s, they were paying half and half. When they started adding different features like disability benefits and the spousal continuance and the cost of living adjustment, that all got paid for by the employer. So the most of the value is being paid for by the city. that got shifted again with the Pepper members. So for Pepper members, it's going to be a
Right.
little longer. But probably if you retire at 60, your life expectancy at that point is probably, let's just call it 20 years.
Right.
Probably 5 of those years you paid for, and the other 15 the city paid for the classic members. Closer to 10 and 10 for the Pepper members.
Okay, so basically, food for thought. If you work 25 to 30 years for the city and you live 25 to 30 years after you retire, you basically made off very well.
Again, it's a valuable benefit. The
I mean,
city is putting some
yeah,
good
it's a
money
goal.
into that benefit.
It's a goal, which you should try to shoot for. You know, you retired, take it easy, and you know.
Some retirees are capable of taking it easy. I'm not one of those.
Well, yeah.
So,
I'm not
yeah.
referring to you, but I just want to bring up a point that try to live as long as possible, especially after 2.5 years, and you're doing good.
It's a valuable benefit. It is
Right.
a strong incentive for people to come work for the city.
That's a good point because I'm about to end this. The next point I'm going to bring up is hopefully Mr. Nevin can advise us later on the 115 trust funds. Why are they just sitting there? Because I don't like the idea of having a loan through CalPERS. 6.8% basically is the loan.
Right.
Right.
Now, and again,
Well, yeah.
if we come back with this, we can talk about
Okay.
it. The two big advantages, the two reasons that agencies like to put money in 115 trusts. One is that those investments are a little more conservative. If they think the markets are going down,
Right.
those investments are not going to lose money quite as much. Second reason is because when you take the money from the 115 trust and give it to CalPERS is at your discretion. You give the money directly to CalPERS, they're going to lower your contribution rate. You're going to have a required contribution you're going to have to put in.
Right.
On the other hand, if we go back to this graph and we see the contribution rates are shooting up over the next few years, and maybe there's going to be a bad year in revenue happening, a downturn. If you put enough money in the 115 trust, you may be able to cut off that peak, pay that extra money
Yes.
from the 115 trust
Okay.
at your discretion. So it's flexibility. And those are the things you're balancing out by deciding whether to put it into the 115 trust or give it directly to CalPERS. So
Okay.
you've got a good point. It'd be nice to just lower this amount and lower the required contribution, but having the flexibility is also valuable because something's going to go wrong. Something's always going to go wrong.
All right, well, last point I want to make, and this is basically to all staff and employees. While I'm here on council, I want to make it perfectly clear that when you took a job at Daly City, you were promised a certain amount for your pension for when you retire. I would do everything I can to make sure that you get what you signed up for and what was promised to you. So I just wanted to put that point out there. That's a top priority for me. I don't like the idea of unfunded liabilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see no other questions and comments. I think this is extremely helpful for us to always assess where we're at. As you know, our employees are definitely on the front lines for us day in and day out, and that this has been continuous. One of the largest issues that we have in regards to ensuring that the longevity of supporting our retirees, as well as you mentioned it earlier today, that one of the key, I think, draws in public service is definitely what we have as far as like a retirement pension. And so we need to continue to see how we can make this a long-term, I would say, fruitful in the long term, but being able to monitor it continuously is so important. And so to you, Director Nevin, excellent work as always. And I say a wonderful presentation, Mr. Ira. We look forward to seeing you again in regards to the next steps, as I mentioned. So Thank you very much. Thank you. We are now moving to the approval of the minutes, the special meeting of December 11, 2023, and regular meeting of December 11, 2023.
Madam Mayor?
Councilmember DiGiovanni.
Yeah, before we approve, just have one short one. It's on page 4 of the regular meeting of December 11th, 2023, and for the record, is because things were moving so fast. It said it was moved by Mayor Manala, seconded by Councilmember Buenaventura, and carried to appoint Cheryl Couture to the Planning Commission. I just wanted to make sure that it moves so fast, and people even told me they could see it on the video. I didn't even have a chance to say anything, so to make it very clear that I didn't have a chance, there was no vote because it went so fast. Thank you.
I think if we get the city clerk to look back at the minutes, I think that was there was a vote there. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
You didn't
there
see me
was a-
vote.
So can you clarify for the record what you would want? Because I think what we had was all in favor, say aye.
And I did not.
Okay, so just
And you said it so quick.
So just
Everything went so fast.
clarify so are you clarifying you did not vote?
With all due respect, it's my correction
Yeah.
for the minutes. Thank you. So for the record, City Clerk?
If you're changing your vote from back then, what is?
You
your
can
vote?
see, visually that it went so fast that I didn't say anything.
But will it be a no or an abstain or a yes?
Well, I can't go back and vote now. So there was no vote coming out of my mouth because it moved so fast. So however you would like to put it in there, I just want to make sure for the record, because it was like recommendation,
Okay.
vote, boom.
All right,
Yeah.
got it.
You
Thank
can go back and look at the film as well. And thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so for clarity purposes, that is the change that you want, but we were there on the dais, and when we said all in favor, say aye, there was no, I'm sorry, you didn't call for you didn't clarify at that time. We said all in favor, say aye, and I think that's what the city clerk has. So I think she was mentioning, are you changing your vote? Ms. Pamela Dujan, I think that's the clarity, because in her notes, Madam City Clerk, can you mention what is in your notes?
That there was no vote for me because I didn't even have a chance to say aye or nothing. That's and with all due respect, again, don't need to be asked a question. That's my change to the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, with that change for the minutes for regular meeting of December 11, I also have an addition for the record for Resolution 23-187. I did ask very specifically for Jefferson Union High School Board or those that were present, as well as I think in the audience we had the union and carpenters, and I wanted that in the minutes because I asked very clearly that there is an opportunity to be in partnership and for them since they were in the same room. So I want that to reflect in the minutes. Thank you very much. So with those two changes, I move to approve the special meeting of December 11, 2023, and the regular meeting of December 11, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Vice Mayor. And with that, why don't we just ask for a roll call vote?
Ms. DiGiovanni,
Aye.
Dr. Rod,
Yes.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Manalo.
Aye, thank you very much. Now moving on to our public appearances and oral communications. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes unless modified. And so at this point, the council cannot take any action on this matter or raise under this item. But I do welcome public comment. And so I have Mr. Nels DeLander. Please come up from Carpenters Local 217.
Point of
Oh,
order, if I may.
Actually, you're here for item number 5. Okay, so we'll wait for item 95, sorry. Thank you for that. Are there any other public comment?
Point of order request, please.
Mr. Sylvester,
Thank you very much. We didn't vote on the approval of the agenda.
motion to approve agenda.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to public appearances and oral communications. Seeing none in the audience, moving on to the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Now moving on to, let's actually go back to item number 5. With the exception of item number 5, because we do have Mr. Nels DeLander here. So this item is to approve the time extension for use permit UPR-619-14076 and design review DR-619-14077, mixed-use apartment building at 493 Eastmore Avenue. And with that, we do have a public comment, and so with the exception of all items approved except for item number 5, I do ask for a friendly amendment in that regard. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have, let's be very clear, like last time there was no ayes. I'm gonna go, let's go roll call vote, please.
Ms. DiGiovanni,
Aye.
Dr. Rod,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
I need a clarification on the friendly amendment. What is the friendly
The
amendment?
friendly amendment is we voted on all the consent items, which meant 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. But we have a gentleman here for item number 5, and therefore the friendly amendment is to approve all items except for item number 5.
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Thank you very much.
and Ms. Manalo.
Aye. Thank you very much. You have the floor, Mr. DeLander.
Okay. My name is Nels DeLander. I'm a representative of 217 Carpenters Union of San Mateo County. The project at 493 Eastmore Avenue is a good-sized development and has potential to change lives for here in the community. But it does not sit well with me that developers and contractors make fortunes at the expense of the working class. Having responsible contractors that pays area standard wages, healthcare benefits, and promotes state-approved apprenticeship programs isn't too much to ask for. I recently visited a project last week in a neighboring city that being built by an irresponsible contractor. Had a conversation with one of the workers that told me the person that usually pays them took off with their money and disappeared. That is illegal and that should not be tolerated. The men and women who build these projects should be paid a living wage, should be trained properly through state-approved apprenticeships, and should have appropriate health care. Let's not only think about these issues, but do something about it and make sure these kind of mistreatments don't go on in Daly City. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. DeLander. Are there any other comments on this item? Do we have staff on this, please, for the use permit and design review for mixed-use apartment for 493 Eastmore Avenue?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, this is a request by CORE, the developer of 493 Eastmore, to receive a time extension of it's actually the second time extension of a project that was approved by the City Council back in 2020.
Okay. And what is the reason for the extension? I mean, as far as the delay in the project?
Yeah, so the reason that the applicant is requesting the extension is that they are obtaining a funding for the affordable housing development. And that request is an ongoing request into, I believe, the state. And so that's the reason for the extension request.
Okay, and what is the anticipated, I know they're looking for funding from the state, like what is the anticipate timeline for that in regards to the grant that they seeked? Yeah,
Yeah, so our understanding is that they're applying for that grant funding for this spring, and if that's not successful, they'll make a reapplication in the summertime. The project is in plan check in the building division, so it is a real project moving forward. It's being reviewed by the city staff for the construction documents now.
okay, and then what is expected, I know they're looking for funds, but in receiving funds, when is the expected project delivery?
A building like this would take, if you're asking how long would it take to construct?
Yep,
yes,
project delivery, the whole.
between 18 and 24 months for something this large.
So 18, 24 months from the time they would receive grant funding.
Well, that would be from the time of building permit issuance, which would probably be a little after grant funding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the extension relates to the building permit issuance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how many units of affordable housing again is on this?
This project's completely affordable.
Okay. But how many units?
It is 72, yeah.
72 units. And then is it like 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms? What's the count?
I'm not exactly sure of the bedroom count.
Okay. We can get that information when
Yes, we can.
we can. Just so it's 100% affordable.
It is.
Okay. Thank you very much. Vice Mayor, are there any questions you have?
I have no questions.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Councilmember DiGiovanni.
Thank you. Yeah, would you happen to know if CORE itself is signatory? Like a signatory contractor?
Not aware of the
Yeah,
answer to that.
because I know that have we had any projects with them?
This is the first project I know of.
I think that we've had, right?
Right. Core is partnered.
Oh, there they are.
699, so yes.
There she is.
Wonderful. We can have the project sponsor come up.
So-
Yeah.
Are you from CORE?
I'm from CORE.
Oh,
Christy Barbary
great.
with CORE.
So are you guys signatory?
We are not, no.
They're not signatory?
No.
Okay, and have you already signed on to the project?
I would have to check with construction. I don't.
Yeah, and would you be amenable to meeting with the NorCal Carpenters concerning LOI and local jobs?
We would be willing to.
Daly to meet with them?
To meet with them.
That'd be
I
great.
can make no guarantees that that's
Yeah.
the way, the direction it would go.
Yeah.
But we are always open to
Yeah.
discussions of that aspect.
Yeah, because I know at least we were happy when it first came. It was 100% affordable, which we don't get those many projects. And I do remember that the SB, I believe at that time, was going to try to help fund, and that didn't really pan out so well. So I know that you guys.
Well, we've just applied for an NTHF application with HCD as well. We have an application going in April. If we're not successful in that April, we'll submit for the second round.
Yeah.
In hopes that the project.
Yeah, because I know you guys specialize in affordable housing, so that would be great. Because the basic things that they only really ask for anyway is just, it's not like, it's like the prevailing wages and things like that. That's it.
And it is.
Just to make
prevailing.
sure there's a protection, people getting hurt on the job. Because in 2018, we had a incident where, I'm sure not with you, it wasn't with you, but things happen on people that are not skilled and trained or whatever. So we just want to make sure of that. It'd be great if you just at least met with them, and I'm sure they can share contact.
And
Thank
the-
you.
The funding requires prevailing wage, so
Right.
it's anticipated
So that's a
and it's
start.
priced as commercial
Yeah.
prevailing, prevailing wage.
And you never know what you learned from each other and maybe future projects, right? That's even better too.
Yeah.
You never know. So that'd be great if you would do that. Thank you very much.
I think you were trying to mention something. What was it? You said something with the prevailing wage. If you could repeat it, because I
It's a prevailing wage project,
Yeah.
so all contractors involved in the project, it's a prevailing wage. The funding sources require it to be prevailing wage.
Okay, oh, thank you for that clarification. So you are actually going for state funding that requires you to have prevailing wage and once you receive that funding.
Correct.
Thank you very much for that clarification. And Councilmember Di Giovanni, I'm speaking right now. Thank you very much. So that is really wonderful that you have that clarity in regards to that, because I was wondering around the timeline. And so you're saying April is when you'll find out about the funding?
April is when we apply.
When you apply. And then when do they announce the funding for that?
I didn't bring that date with me. It's usually a couple of months after. So by summer, we would know first round, and then second round would follow right after that. So
Okay, wonderful. I think, I mentioned this prior. We did have, another project in the room, and your different project, fully affordable, which is wonderful that you're taking on a fully affordable housing project, which is amazing. I think that it's always around partnerships and working together, and to hear directly that the funding that you're trying to get will push for prevailing wage. I think it's always good to also talk with the local labor and workers within the area. And there's always a unique opportunity. As right now, we do have someone from the local carpenters. I mean, I think it's just always good to build relationships. You're in the business of doing affordable housing. I think our local carpenters are workers that live in the area and want to be able to do good work. So there's always this, I think, opportunity to work with one another. But hearing first and foremost that funding does hold you accountable to prevailing wage is definitely a first step. And I do hope that you get that funding, because we do want to see this project come to fruition. It's located in an area that has been vacant for a very long time, at that corner, and we need, as we all know, we do need more housing and more affordable housing. So thank you very much for taking that on.
thank you.
Thank you.
I have a comment if I may.
All right, Councilmember Sylvester?
Yes, Mr. Lunkhausen or the representative from CORE, maybe one of you can answer a couple of questions that I have. It's my understanding that funding has been obtained, one through Daly City, who has put funds towards this project, and HART, Housing Endowment and Regional Trust, to which monies have been set aside. And I believe it was millions of dollars. I'm just wondering, would the state funding, I'm just wondering why now that we're trying to go with, to get money from the state when we've had this process, when was it approved? Was it in 2020, I believe? I'm just wondering, how come preparation so that we can have everything in place didn't happen earlier? One is how much money, because if the project is, say, I'm just pulling a number out of the top of my head, $120 million, and we're waiting on $5 million from the state, I'm just wondering, can we get started, or how much has been allocated towards the project in the area of funding thus far?
I don't have that exact number with me. There is funding that has been allocated to the project. The funding that we're going for now can only be applied for when the project's at a certain stage. So until we got to the building permit stage, which is where we are now, we couldn't apply for that funding. And those different programs have different rounds within each year. And you have to be at a certain point project-wise to move forward. So the funds that have been allocated to the project so far have been used to get it to that point, to get the funds for the construction. And so that's where we are now.
That is perfect. Thank you for clarifying. Now I understand. Thank you.
You're
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And with that, I see no other questions. In that respect, I move to approve the time extension for use permit UPR-619-14076 and design review DR-619-14077, a mixed-use apartment building at 493 Eastmore Avenue, which is a affordable housing project. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a second. And roll call vote, please.
Ms. DiGiovanni?
Aye.
Dr. Rod?
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester?
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Manalo?
Aye, thank you very much. Thank you. Now moving on to item number 14. Nomination of Auto Sound Performance as a legacy business. We have staff, ECD staff, Maybell Manio.
Hi, good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members and everyone else in the chambers. Thank you, first of all, for taking the time to hear these presentations out, and bear with me, there are 3 of them. The first one is the nomination of Auto Sound Performance to be a part of the inaugural Legacy Business Registry and awarded as a recognized legacy business. So to recap, Council passed and adopted a Legacy Business Registry ordinance on May 8, 2023. And the commissioners reviewed the nomination at the regular business meeting on November 9th and discussed the cultural relevance and contributions to history and identity in the neighborhood of Auto Sound Performance, which is located at 7338 Mission Street. Established in 1993, they've been dedicated to bringing and assisting our community with automotive needs, and also providing commercial vehicle safety solutions for fleet managers and other small business owners. Listed in the report are the eligibility criteria, which this nomination has met. Number 1, since they started in 1993, they have more than 10 years of service here without no more than a 2-year break. They contributed to the history as the go-to place for automotive parts. It's been a home for car aficionados, a place for learning for enthusiasts, and a testament to the spirit of entrepreneurship in Daly City. The business is committed to maintaining the physical features and traditions to define that business, including their craft. Backed by over 45 years of combined automotive experience, it stands as a testament to their reputation and the trust that they've garnered within the community. They have no pending violations or complaints. They have less than 100 employees and did not report more than $1 million in annual gross receipts in its first full year of operating. So, council members and Honorable Mayor, the city will provide recognition plaques to each business awarded with the Legacy Business designation. We will also create an online registry with the awarded businesses, and a proposed contribution for a celebration event recognizing the legacy businesses in collaboration with the Daly City Colma Chamber of Commerce, in which a set date is forthcoming. And we will continue to work with small business commissioners to continue to nominate small businesses that have contributed to the identity of Daly City's neighborhoods and cultural relevance in our community.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And it's great to see that the Legacy Business Program is actually coming to fruition. And I'll leave my comments till the end, and I will ask Vice Mayor Das Magwal if he has any comments.
I'll also reserve my comments for the end as well.
Thank you. Any comments from my colleagues?
Till the end.
Okay, thank you very much. I do have, I think, a procedural question. I think it's every item is what we would be voting on. It's not necessarily, it's each item, 14, 15, and 16. So if there's no other comments from my colleagues, we're actually gonna go into a roll call vote. But I think you,
I'll go ahead and make some comments. I think these are excellent legacy businesses. Oh, well, first of all, thank you for compiling this all the information, Havel, and thank you for compiling and providing information on all these different businesses. It's pretty cool to on a very regular basis. Like I see these businesses very frequently. So I have like my son attends Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and I walk by this place all the time. And it's really cool because like some of the parents that have kids at Gracie Jiu-Jitsu also have friends that always go into this this shop, and they're like, "Well, these cars look like show cars." And I think that's one thing that when we think of Daly City and what this legacy award is about is what is culturally enriching. What is Daly City known for? Because sometimes we think of Daly City as a sleepy suburb, as this place that's just by San Francisco. But what these three businesses do is that it has definitely created a foundation, a place to go that really demarcates what culture and representation of Daly City is about. Everything from auto sound performances to the Philam cuisine, and seeing them all over social media, and food aficionados that talk about it. It's a true institution in Filipino American cuisine. And also the Westlake Performing Arts as also a legacy, with my daughter being one of the dancers, and I had the honor to be part of a new project that they'll be coming out with through this project called The Art of Work, where we were able to teach the hip hop dance choreographers like Filipino American history and how they can create a video production, dance production, based on the legacies of Filipino American labor, Filipino Americans in hip hop, and also when they just wrapped up their production this past week, they were taking pictures and shots from around Daly City and across the Bay, and showing the legacies of like Daly City is more than just a sleepy suburb or just a suburb next to San Francisco, but these are places that we can be proud of that has created the fabric of what Daly City is about, what makes it hip, what makes it cool, what makes it a place to come and visit, and how these different places also represent around the nation. Thank you, Meba.
Thank you very much. And so for point of clarification, I think we're gonna have to take these items for each item, so the 14, 15, 16, but
Gotcha.
you know what? Dr. Rod, he took care of it. So is there any more, which items for item number 14?
I just want to, may I make a comment?
Go ahead, Council Member.
Ms. Manio, I think you did a great job on your research, and I like that it was a variety like it wasn't like 3 restaurants or whatever. And I know that this is modeled, I know San Francisco had their legacy business, but you curtailed it to what fits in Daly City. So I think that that was a good fit to highlight. I mean, they probably have standard business anyway, but this gives them more of a highlight, for our city. And we need to shine a spotlight on Daly City. Other cities do that, so now we can start doing ours, and we have a lot to be proud of. And I'm sure there's a whole list out there when you're doing your research that we do have businesses that are that long in our city that's pretty a lot to be proud of, and that they were able to sustain. And then when they have issues or whatever, then we can figure out how to support them. So I want to commend you on the choices, and I want to thank you for the extensive report. Your reports are well done, and really appreciate the time that you put into it. And thank the Small Business Commission as well, and Ms. Mothershead, because this is what makes the city work. So I really appreciate it, and I support all of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council Member Sylvester, you have any comments?
No comment at all. I'm glad to see that we're moving to starting to recognize these businesses. I think it's very, very important. So keep up the great work, and I'm waiting to hear about the other two. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With the nomination of Auto Sound Performance, I think that having this legacy business directory also shines light on how long these small businesses have been in our community, day in and day out, and how they've been able to stay here for decades. And so thank you for your research on the businesses. I do remember buying something from this business, but it was happenstance. I was literally on Mission Street and I needed to buy a charger, like my phone always dies. But they had great customer service. I mean, once you enter that door, that's why I don't forget it. Like, once you enter that door, they were like, "Oh, what do you need right away?" I'm like, "Oh, I need to charge my phone." But they offered wonderful service. It's really great to see that they have been able to survive the Great Recession, the pandemic, and that they're here in our community thriving. And so definitely amazing to see. And so with that, is there, well, I move to approve, but do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and may we have roll call, please?
Ms. DiGiovanni,
Aye.
Dr. Rod,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
And Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Manalo.
Aye, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now moving on to, and congratulations, Auto Sound Performance, on becoming a legacy business. And now moving on to the nomination of Phil Am Cuisine as a legacy business.
So for the second nomination, Phil M. Cuisine, the Small Business Commissioners reviewed this nomination at their regular business meeting on October 12, 2023. And I know probably everybody here has eaten there, unless you're a vegetarian. But Phil M. Cuisine started in 1995 by Adoracion Guevara. Then in the fall of 2002, Richard and Venus Alvarado Guevara primarily took over ownership and management while their relatives relocated. And because it is a close-knit family, with the help of their mother, their sister, and other family members, they've been able to manage this food business. And I know most of you would agree that, because I hear it all the time in the community, that the smell of Phil Am barbecue is synonymous with Daly City. I hear often, you know you're in Daly City when you smell Phil Am. And again, they met all of the eligibility criteria, being 10 years or more, again, starting in 1995 without a 2-year break. They contributed to the history and identity of our community and our city as they serve as a cultural hub that holds very deep cultural and nostalgic value for many Filipino Americans. A way to reach people, their heritage, and foster a sense of community is through familiar dishes. They represent a lot of presence and contributions to the community here in Daly City. They've maintained the attributes of their culinary art forms through their dishes, and they have no pending complaints. They have actually 9 employees in their Daly City location and fewer than 100 across all of their locations, and they did not report more than $1 million in gross receipts for their first full year. And again, City will recognize them with plaques, legacy business designation, and online registry, as well as the collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce for a celebration and recognition event.
Thank you very much for that presentation for Philam Cuisine. Vice Mayor, do you have any comments?
I think this is also an excellent choice. I believe I read something about ranking like the best Filipino food in the Bay Area, and I believe they were number 1. And they have such notoriety that friends and family from all the way down to Southern California, all the way to Vegas, they all know Phil Lamb Barbecue. And these are one of the spots I take all my family and friends if they wanted something that's not commercial, like a Jollibee, but they wanted something authentically like Daly City and Filipino. This is the spot to take them.
Thank you very much. Councilmember DiGiovanni.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, who cannot agree with Philam Cuisine? I think we've all had their food. We see the lines. They went through some hard times and bounced back during COVID. And they're very resilient people and got good hearts and work very, very hard. They're very hard. I know they have, another city has another location, but there's something special about, I know that's their original location. And even if it's smaller, and not because it's in Daly City, but maybe it is because it's Daly City, that one has that, that vibe about it. Like, or you call them and tell them what you want, and they get you whatever you want immediately. So, great choice. Congratulations to the family. They work very hard. I'm happy that like Dr. Ross said, people come from everywhere and have to have something in the window to recognize them. I think that's going to be really nice, and that nice window right there, so they can have a visibility. Well deserved. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Manuel, and to the Small Business Commission. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Sylvester.
Again, another fine choice, and I just got one saying, and you've probably heard it before in the past: often imitated, but never duplicated. And I've tried, and can't get the same. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think excellent choice as well, Ms. Manio. I will take it back to how long they've been able to survive as well. I remember when I was in high school and their barbecue stick and rice was $1.99.
Wow.
And I mean, really, like, it was for the students, and like literally there was open campus that time, but their cuisine never changed. It's definitely like Vice Mayor mentioned. It's definitely known around the Bay Area and beyond, around their culinary skills, and it's a mom and pop shop for certain, and continues to be that. And I know even in the start of the business, them being in the business community, they also gave back to the community during its first years. And then also, when Richard took over, I know that when Councilmember Buenaventura was mayor, he acknowledged them as one of the mayor awardees for as a small business. I just remember that. But the lines are there, and if you haven't been there to Falam Cuisine, then I don't know. Because you can't miss it. The lines are always long, and definitely if you want something scrumptious. And it's great to know that they made it to the map as far as like being one of the #1 Filipino restaurants. And for their longevity continuously. And I do know that they have working on the hood various times, as probably Tatum can attest to. And so, but I think it's the sheer amount of food that they create, and that smell is tremendous. And so, with that, I move to nominate Philam Cuisine as a legacy business. Do I have a second?
Second.
And may we have roll call, please?
Ms. DiGiovanni?
Aye.
Dr. Rod?
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester?
And Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Manalo?
Aye. Thank you very much. Now moving on to item number 16, nomination of Westlake Performing Arts School as a legacy business.
Yes, so this is the third and final for the evening. Small Business Commissioners reviewed their nomination at their regular business meeting on October 12, 2023 for Westlake School of Performing Arts. WSPA was founded in the summer of 1991 by Malu Rivera Peoples and Karen Taikeiko, in successful collaboration with the City of Daly City Parks and Rec Department. And since they have served over 1,000 students and found a new home in the 14,000 square feet with 6 studios at the Dolgers Center, 200 Northgate Avenue. They're extremely proud of their students and their program, some who have moved on to prestigious dance schools like Juilliard and all of those. This business has been in business for over 10 years, again, starting in 1991, without more than a 2-year break. They've contributed to the history and identity of our community by celebrating and promoting cultural diversity through its programs. As Vice Mayor Rod had mentioned with their new programs, which I'm really glad to hear about. They are committed to maintaining their physical features and traditions that define their business by providing opportunities for individuals of all ages to receive quality arts education through their classes and their workshops in various performing arts disciplines. And they have no pending complaints with the city. They employ about 22 teachers and 10 office staff, and they reported less than $1 million in annual gross receipts. And again, providing the plaque, the online registry, and the forthcoming celebration. And I just want to take this time to thank you, Honorable Mayor and council members, for recognizing these businesses. As you know, small businesses are the backbone of our economy. It's 44% of economic activity. They are the lifeblood of Daly City's economy. They created 2/3 of the new jobs and is the essential core to the financial security of our middle class. Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much for that presentation and for the third legacy business brought forth by yourself and also the Small Business Commission. At this point, are there any comments from my colleagues?
Good Vice Mayor.
I'll add one more. I have the honor to be a parent at this school and had the privilege to go to places like New York City and Phoenix. And when those students walk in, like folks already know, they're about to get served. And they do. And you know, and all the productions that they have, from their Nutcracker to their all their different performances or recitals. You know, the one of the very first recitals I went to, I thought, oh, it's gonna just be a really cute child production. Next thing you know, you go into that production, it's professional. It feels like you should be paying more for these productions. And I owe it to the teachers, Miss Malou, Miss Tina, Pat Cruz, Nakia, all of them for doing the work that they do. Miss Jessica, they do an extraordinary job, and they push those students to their limits. It's just because we have this kind of like perception of what a ballerina is. Damn, they go through some very, very strenuous training. And also their musical theater group with Miss Katie, giving them a stage to perform for students at a very young age, to take command. A lot of people don't even know what the power of a stage looks like or feel like. Sometimes people fear it, and what they do is that they create these baby steps for them to realize their own, or have the self-actualization of who they want to become. And those, even if they're not performing at an older age, those skills are translatable, because I see those students being the ones that are being in front of the classrooms, the ones that are leading protests, the ones that are taking leadership positions in different places in college or in high school. And so this is a very, very, no, this institution is really close to my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Well,
much,
what can you
Vice
say?
Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. 3 in a row. Wow. So I like the idea that that transition not just went to hip hop, but now recently they've involved the parents, and the parents are willing to do and work together for those that cannot afford it in our community. So they've expanded, and they recognize, which I like that they want to bring in all the children to give them the opportunity. Because when you dance or you're involved in performing, or you have so many things you learn from that, and even if you don't continue as a dancer, I mean, Dr. Rod's daughter will probably continue till, I don't know, she's pretty professional. So, but even if they don't, her peers, they've learned so much. They learn about working together. They've learned about an art program, music, wherever they go. They really have gained so much in whatever they do in their life. So these are the things that we need to be supportive of in our community and continue. And this is just another way to let them know that we care, we highlight them, and that there's a spotlight. So thank you again, Ms. Manio. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Sylvester, any more comments?
Again, it'll be kind of short. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to attend the play by Westlake School of Performing Arts, and it's called The Nutcracker. And since then, I've been to other plays of The Nutcracker, even this past year, and I will say for a fact, it didn't even come close. And as much as my granddaughter was in it, nope, but it's all as a group, didn't come close to what I see WSPA does. So it's definitely a class act, and I wish them the best. Thank you for the acknowledgement of such a great organization, and looking forward to their continued success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Sylvester. I think this is such a wonderful recommendation from the Small Business Commission. It said on the dais today how extremely professional and how these youth and young people literally are transforming just their artistry, their from very young kids to have them on the stage, as Vice Mayor Das Magwal mentioned, is something that is also life changing. I think what has said around like one of the number one fears, right, is like being in front of a stage or being in front of public, and to be able to see these, I mean, from very young, like 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, to all the way into their young adult lives. And you see how much work they do day in and day out. And then you see it reflected in their artistry. It is really phenomenal to see the Nutcracker. And every single year of even seeing it, there's always something different and something really unique that the teachers provide. Something very, very special. We know that Westlake School of Performing Arts is another business that really has been able to put Daly City on the map, as mentioned by Vice Mayor Das Magbual. When they go to competitions across in the East Coast, I mean, they are there not saying that, they're from San Francisco. They are from Daly City. And I see a lot of nodding heads because I know that many of people's children have gone through, whether it's a summer program, whether it's continuous, but it's definitely building, as it's a legacy business that we're saying, but it's also building legacy. I mean, you have mentioned that out of that school, has there been amazing students that go to the world-renowned schools, dance schools, art schools now. And that's something that should be very, very proud of. And so to Westlake School of Performing Arts, congratulations on this. This is, you're a gem in our community, and for the youth and young people, and for the programs that you continue to do. As mentioned, theater, dance, hip hop. Oh my goodness. If you have seen like really the artistry of these young people, you know what? We should have them perform one time here. Right? I mean, like really for people to see, for those watching to see the type of talent that is tremendous in our community. And so with that, actually, I will yield this motion to my colleague, Vice Mayor Das Magwal. So I know that he would love to do the motion. I'll be happy to second it. Go ahead, sir.
I motion to nominate Westlake School of Performing Arts as a
Second.
legacy business.
Thank you very much. This is such another amazing business in our community, and thank you so much, Vice Mayor Das Magwal. And with that, it's a resolution, so we will move into a roll call vote.
Ms. DiGiovanni,
Aye.
Dr. Rod,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
And Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Manalo.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, council
Mabel.
members. Good evening.
We're now moving on to item number 17. Resolution of finding of the public convenience and necessity of PCN -11-23-16429 to sell alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption at Vera Market at 6189 Mission Street.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. This is a continued item from the City Council meeting of December 12th, when the City Council asked some follow-up questions or asked for some follow-up information with regard to this particular item. We've gone ahead and put the information in a presentation for you. If the council will recall, this is a request for a finding of public convenience and necessity that's required by the Department of Alcohol and Beverage Control that the City Council issue this finding. There are 5 establishments that already have this or have this type of alcohol license, where 2 would normally be allowed inside the census tract. And so any additional type 21 licenses require this sort of a finding. But the particular information that the City Council requested was additional information about the existing licenses that exist, or the existing licenses that exist in the census tract. And so we've gone ahead and put together a slideshow presentation for you. The first slide is actually the location where the PCN is sought, and this is 6189 Mission, a current photo of that. The applicant's been busy preparing for opening his grocery store, and you can kind of see that behind the glass there. And so we wanted to first provide that. And the first existing grocery store is at 6147 Mission, so this is just right down the street. And the information that was, we discussed all of these different existing establishments with the ABC officer that's been assigned to this case. The original license at this location was issued in 1991 and transferred to the current owner in 1995. It's a Type 20 license allowing the sale of beer and wine only. And this is Felix Market. At 6157 Mission is Morazan Market, and the original license was issued in 1982, transferred to new owners in 96, 2005, 2007, 2008, and the store's current owner in 2014. This is a Type 20 license, allowing the sale of beer and wine only. At 98 Crocker Avenue is Crocker Market and Liquor, and the original license was issued in 1987 as a Type 20 license, allowing the sale of beer and wine only. And then in 2013, this license was amended to include hard alcohol, and the license was obtained by the current owners. At 108 Los Olivos Avenue is Bart Grocery. This original license was issued in 1990 as a Type 21 license and canceled and reissued as a Type 20, that's a typo, a Type 20 license in 1992, which was transferred in 2002, canceled and reissued in 2010, and then transferred to the current owners in 2020. The City Council issued a PCN for this location in 2010. 6001 Mission is La Loma Grocery. The original license was issued as a Type 21 license in 1985. It was transferred in the 90s and then to the current owner in 2020. Staff has actually visited and been inside each one of these establishments because I think the essence of the council's question was to try and find out the nature of the existing businesses, kind of how much alcohol they actually sold. And we do have some kind of estimates and anecdotal answers to those questions. But these are essentially the findings from our analysis, having visited each of the stores. All of the above retailers, except for the Crocker Market and Liquor, are also small to medium-sized grocery stores offering fresh foods, fruits, vegetables, etc. All of the retailers, with the exception of Crocker Market and Liquor, only offer beer and wine for sale. So only Crocker Market and Liquor offers hard alcohol. The Crocker Market and Liquor is more of a convenience store type retailer, and again offering all 3 varieties of alcohol: beer, wine, distilled spirits, which we commonly refer to as hard alcohol. The floor area devoted to alcohol in each of the businesses is minimal, less than 10% at Morazan Market, La Loma, and Bart Grocery. So when you go into each one of those, there's very little floor area devoted to alcohol sales. They're primarily in the business of selling, especially Morazan and La Loma, primarily in the business of selling groceries. Bart Grocery also sells grocery, and that is a primary thing, but they also have a deli counter there too, so there's a slightly different use there. Staff estimates that the floor area devoted to alcohol sales at Felix Grocery Store and Crocker Market and Liquor exceeds 25%. It's probably 50% at Crocker Market and Liquor, probably around 30% at Felix Grocery Store. So those are the findings. We hope that provides some insight and answer some of your questions about the nature of existing alcohol sales in the area, and gives you some sort of a history of the licensing that's occurred with the 5 retailers. If there's any questions, Vika Saxana is here to answer any questions you have, as is the city staff.
Thank you very much for your presentation and also doing the research in regards to the questions that we asked regarding the other locations that do sell alcohol. It's just very helpful. I think you already had the attachment which showed the areas or services that attract or serve youth. And I think that you had that on item attachment C, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, thank you. At this point, are there questions or comments from my colleagues? I'll start with Vice Mayor.
Yeah, so I have one quick question. Will you be having advertisements that showcase alcohol logos in storefront?
Yes, little bit.
Little bit, like neon signs?
Yeah,
big-
sign.
Okay. at
Like
the
whatever,
storefront.
if it is allowed to me to be put the sign, I'll put it. If I don't allow it to be, then I don't put it. But for one sign, yeah, will be there.
I mean, the reason why I asked this is because in my prior jobs, I'd worked with many youth organizations to prevent, like, different small markets were able to still sell their liquor, but prevented them from promoting logos of alcohol. Would you consider
No.
not doing that at all?
No,
No?
not much logo. Just one sign is fine.
One sign? Okay. Would you be open to not having a sign at all?
I can do that too. Just on the board, on the
Like in
on
the
the top
back?
of the yeah.
Like for instance, if I was looking at Crocker Amazon, that thing looks like,
Multiple signs.
yeah, there are like neon signs and posters and
No, I want to what I plan that to look my store nice, for the other people and get everything once they walk in the small store.
Okay.
And they will be putting some lights for show, but not for must sign,
Okay.
which is look nicer from the outside. Not just to look like just for the the liquor stores, but for the liquor and grocery store, convenience store, where just having the the everything, like we have the condiment, eggs, snacks, and the other items as well, like fruits, produce, if I can put,
Okay.
and other medicines as well inside the stores, and other skincare and daily products as well, laundry related items as well in the store. So if anybody walks in, it looks a small store, but
Right.
looks nice for all the people, those who walks in and get necessities, everything.
Because I understand, like, if you walk into the store, I get the promotional advertisements of liquor, but I'm just looking at the storefront.
Yeah.
Because I don't want a duplication of, like, the Crocker liquor store where it's like Bud Light and Budweiser and all these things. So I think just to minimize
Definitely.
the, I guess, to minimize the promotion of
Yes.
liquor is something that I would consider.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'll not do that initially. When I had a plan in my mind, when I chose the Daly city on that time, and I came to the planning and zoning department, and they allowed me to, when they see on the system, they said that it's allowed to be opening the liquor store and convenience store and grocery store. I said, okay. Then I, came again. I
Right.
talked to the Mr. Brian, then Sam, then Mr. Michael. I came couple of times before, signing the lease and everything. And then back in mind, if you see the front say is the glass all the
Right.
I don't want to put a that signing of the Bud, as you said,
Yeah.
Bud Light or big things.
Yeah.
Mainly, I'll focus on the looking the store nicer with everything,
Got you.
not to advertisement of the mostly for the liquors and all.
That's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank
Council
you.
member.
So I guess both of you. So Michael, you said that one of the stores only occupies 10% of the floor space, but that doesn't indicate, I get it, the floor space is only 10%, but at the same time, it could be like they were selling a lot of liquor from the back. Doesn't mean that that's not the amount of sales, just because they have a smaller area, right?
That's
You're just telling me inside, it's
that's
only
right.
small, it's a smaller.
The area accessible to the public. What we're trying to do is portray for you.
Right, just like we did with the Target,
Right.
so to speak.
A lot of the grocery stores in the third bullet, Morazan, La Loma, and Bart Grocery, are primarily providing beverages for just to make the grocery experience so that people don't have to go somewhere else.
Got it,
Yeah, it's not nearly the primary
right,
product they're
on the
selling.
floor.
Right.
And what percentage, sir, would you have your, advertising your alcohol? Do you know a percentage of your floor space, or if it would be in the back, or
No, it will be in the front, as I said,
It'd be in
that
the
will
front?
yeah, in this one
be
sign.
visible from the window?
Visible from the window, and the sign up there on the wall.
So when you go by the window, it'd be like right at the.
Yeah, just one sign will be fine.
Yeah, and then you would keep the area, so that's a smaller percentage, or what
This is
percentage is
small.
it compared to the food?
It will be like 5-10%.
5-10%, and then you just have storage in the back for
Right.
sales in the back, right?
Right. The storage at the back.
But it still would be visible. Okay, I'm just asking a couple questions, but thank you for being here, by the way. I know you had to come back. So that's all I have for now, Mayor, till after there, I don't know if there's a public comment or. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from Council Member Sylvester?
None.
And thank you very much. The question I do have is, this is I guess what was answered prior. Will your store be selling cigarettes?
We are not selling any pipes or anything. That will be if it is the Lord, then we're selling the packed cigarette. Otherwise, we are not. I'm not in the not in the smoke shop or something. So there will not be any the pipes or any other cigars or anything.
Okay. And then how, I think last time we asked, will you be having produce? You mentioned that when you came up, you said, look, what I want to do is just open up a grocery store.
Yeah.
And so I think my question is, will you be providing fresh produce?
Like we'll be definitely having the milk and I'm Indian, so people usually eat the paneer. If you heard about, we'll be having the packed one as well, and the butter and as well. So this kind of produce will be having. Yeah.
I know
And
that's
dairy products.
I know that's
Dairy products.
dairy products, but I'm talking about like fresh fruit.
Fresh fruits as well.
Talking about like vegetables. Like for instance, I think you showed on your photo, like Morazan. They provide like fresh produce or opportunities to have.
Yeah, I'll
fruits.
work on that too. I mean, that is the thing in my mind as well, and I'll work on that as well.
Oh,
Will
okay.
be, yeah.
So you see that you would.
Already I have seen these shops and other shops as well. I visited different shops of what I can have more, to
Yeah.
attract the all community people and serve better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think last time it was really around being able to have more opportunities for healthy opportunities at the stores. I think that we know it's heavily filled with families, and that's probably why you saw an opportunity because it's a very dense area, right, with a lot of people in the area. I noticed that when they mentioned earlier there were licensing on here, but I think there was some that were only beer and wine. You said that when you wanted people to come to your store, you wanted to have it like a one-stop shop,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
And like it's like a grocery store, right? Like a
Right.
small mini grocery store. And so I looked at all the different types of like other areas, and some of them only sell like beer and wine that I noticed over there. Would you be amenable to only beer and wine, given that you said, you know, you want it to be a one-stop shop? It's still allowing for liquor, but given beer and wine. What I'm looking at is obviously when I look at the uses that attracts or serve youth, there's you know, there's a lot of youth and families in that area. And when I see kind of the other or areas that have liquor or whatnot, and what they're selling and their percentage of how much they're selling in liquor, I'm looking at like a compromise here, meaning being able to, for you to serve alcohol, but then not hard liquor.
I understand, Ms. Mayor, but when I initially plan about opening the grocery store, convenience store, and the liquor store as well, so I contact with the consultant, and I paid to the escrow. I paid for everything, for the licensing and everything, and then paid for the ABC as well. I came here to the city, and I asked for the planning and zoning department whether I have been allowed to open the convenience store, including the liquor as well. And it says that it's allowed, and I inquire about around 3 times before signing the lease, and that was my plan, to opening the liquor store plus convenience store and the grocery store all come together in this and look nicer at one stop shop, as you said, Ms. Mayor. So I request for the type 21, please.
So when you said you asked if you can have this, did they explain to you that there's a
Yes.
process to come here to the council?
Yes, Ms. Mayor, actually, when I went to the planning and zoning department, they said that you are allowed, then allowed to be open. And then I went to the ABC that, I want type 21, and I got the consultant as well who is transferring other license to me. And he said that if it is city is saying if it is allowed, then the ABC, I went to the ABC office, they said that if city is allowing you, there is, if anything comes up like PCN and all, if city is saying allowing you, then it should not be any problem. So from there, I go on like for everything from past 120 days, just keep on working on that. So if the day one I came to the planning and zoning department, if they said that it's not allowed to be opening the convenience store with the liquor, then I would not be signing the lease. So far I invested so much. I'm not, franchisee of something or not a big man. I just saved the money to be open and choose this place to be, to serve the community and to build for myself as well.
Okay. Do you have something to say? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so just for clarification, the zoning for this property is C1. Well, it's actually CMU now. When he came in to begin with, it allows liquor stores by right. So there's no use permit or any sort of discretionary review that's required to open a full liquor store, including all types of alcohol. We did, though, from the outset, communicate that a PCN may be required by ABC because of the overconcentration issue. And that, just for the record, was communicated very early on. So that's the purpose for this hearing. It's a PCN hearing, not a use permit hearing. There's no notice to the neighbors or anything like that that's been provided. But that was communicated very early on, and it is difficult to control the type of, to restrict and say, make a deal that it's only beer and wine. He's applied for a type 21 license, and the PCN is for that license. And if the city council issues the PCN, he can sell beer, wine, and distilled spirits. It's kind of hard to, because there's no use permit being issued. There's no condition of approval that we write down that says that you can't sell distilled spirits. So just to be clear, it's kind of hard to do something like that.
Okay. So, it's basically all liquor or none, is what
Because
you're
that's the finding that's been requested, yes.
saying? Okay. And then, within this approval, is there, I think, does he mention, like, what's the percentage of, I know we know the other percentage of other businesses. Like, what's the percentage of alcohol that he himself as a business owner?
Yeah, if you'd like, we can get the floor plan up, but the floor plan actually shows a very small area devoted toward.
Sure.
Yes, if we could do that. Just,
But he wants it at the window.
sorry. It's, this will just take a second. For some reason, it's coming up sideways on this computer. If you could figure it out.
Horizontal?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Leilani. Yeah, so if we, if you can see, yeah, there we go. Thank you, Leilani. See the arrows here. These are the fridge for soda and drinks, and the let's see, just to orient. So on the right side of the screen is the city sidewalk, and the see the 5 arrows at the back to the left. These are the refrigerators for alcoholic beverages that he's identified. And I believe it came out to something like 11% of the floor area. It's not a huge portion, but it's sort of a tricky thing because, again, there's no use permit. So there's no way that we can say, not to my knowledge anyway, he's got to stick to this floor plan, just to be honest. Once the 21 license is issued, he can change this floor plan and sell whatever he'd like to. That being said, a lot of this is, sort of relying on, trust. You've had a communication with him. He's told you this is what he intends to do. And, that's sort of kind of the way that we have issued PCNs in the past. This conversation isn't one that's sort of been had before. City Council talks to the applicants for PCN and kind of asks the same question. And we usually have a floor plan, some rough floor plan, and it's something that we kind of use as a evaluation piece. But just to be clear, you can add more coolers if you'd like to, just to let you know that.
Okay. So what I hear from you when this PCN is approved, there are no kind of accountability measures intact.
That's correct, because there's no, I would the city staff would rephrase that. There's no control really we have, because again, there's no use, the sale of alcohol in this zoning district is allowed by right.
Yes,
There's no
So where is
discretion
the
really.
vice mayor mentioned about like displays or
At
the
the window.
street? Can you share where on that diagram is the front part of?
Yeah, this is basically where the mouse is the city sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was a little confused. Can you tell me if I'm wrong, Vikas? But earlier when asked where the alcohol sales were going to be, they're actually at the rear of the store, according to the floor
They're
plan
where?
that's been provided. They're at the rear of the store.
Okay.
Because at the front of the store, there's soda and drinks. And so, and this is not unusual for retailers. They try and put the alcohol far away from the front entrance so that it doesn't get stolen. This is something that's fairly common.
So that's why there's a liquor display right by the cashier? Like, it says liquor display.
Behind the cashier.
It's behind and then,
Behind the cashier, and moreover, if I'm going to open it, then I'll put the channel
Yeah.
for the safety and put the security cameras everywhere for the security.
Yeah. So the liquor display area is where the hard alcohol is put on, usually like a shelf. But yeah.
okay. Okay. Are there any other questions from my colleagues? I think my questions were around the intent of having fresh groceries and more opportunities for that. More so, I think, given the saturation, like there is a lot of other like alcohol licenses around, and it's actually, I think that's why we're in this place right now, that we have kind of the approval process, because there is a lot of saturation. And that's, for me, if there's an opportunity to have more like healthier options, that's why if fresh produce was included here, and I know he mentioned, oh, I'm gonna look into that. I think, we're providing, you know, like a grocery amenity to the community, because that's what I heard from first and foremost. Like, I'm looking to have a grocery store, but what I'm hearing also is like I applied for a liquor store. So I think I just want some clarity around, is it a grocery store? Are you going to turn this into a liquor store? I just need that clarity on the record this evening.
Yes, Ms. Mayor, actually last time, clearly mentioned that, there is the grocery store with the liquor. So that is what I said, and as you said, other shops having all the grocery and items and all. So that is, I'm going to have it. Like, as I said last time also, there will be the multiple things in my store as well, which I mentioned last time as well, and they're like all the produce items, dairy items, egg, snacks, medicine, and the laundry-related items. Others, I know I have seen the packed items as well. So these all the things going to be in the store. This is not a big space, but I'll make it look nicer, and less means limited liquor, limited beer and wine, more groceries, more items, but look nicer for the people, those who walk in and have what they wanted.
Okay, thank you. I think you mentioned it, that you said that you'll have those limited items this evening. And so, I think I'm in the same vein that Vice Mayor Magbal mentioned. If there isn't the, I think, advertisement, drawing in like the alcohol.
I'm not
into-
going to do that for sure, that I
Okay.
promise.
Okay, because I think that's a big piece of it as well, to it's trying to, but you mentioned you won't do that. And so, thank you very much. Is there, in approval of this, can we add that in the language? I'm asking you, Michael.
Can you add that as some sort of a requirement? Yeah, it's essentially a handshake agreement with him. I mean, it really is. That's why I brought up it's not a use permit, so there's no staff report or conditions of approval that are issued.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Understood. Are there any other questions for my colleagues?
I just want to make a comment. I mean, I'm all for entrepreneurship. I know you have a dream of starting a grocery store, but my whole thing is to really limit the exposure and limit the outdoor advertising, like billboards or neon signs, that just to minimize that type of exposure to folks, because we know the dangers of alcohol in our communities, and being in a place where it is very saturated with beer, alcohol, and hard liquor. I feel like that's like the most minimal thing that you can do. So that's where I stand. Is just to reduce exposure. I think that's probably from my perspective, like the most practical thing that I can fully understand.
I'll be doing
Yeah.
that, sure.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other questions or comments, Councilmember DJ
No,
Vaughn.
thank you. Yeah, in the same vein, supporting small businesses is what we're all about. But again, it's the torment of the youth and the saturation of the hard liquor and what it does to people. And not saying that you would be a bad owner or, because it's up to the people. It's not, you can't control what people do, right? It's their bodies. And so that's a struggle because that area is so impacted. So impacted. And so, and I get the thing, is it because, I would always just wonder, when people open these up, is it because the alcohol makes more money and it kind of like balances when you sell the groceries or to make a revenue?
Make the balance mostly.
That's why I was wondering why all these places, they wanted, obviously it became a concentration, but that's why they felt like they probably had to. Is that, am I hearing you right? Because of the balance between the food and and that. Because we have other places to buy groceries, right? Okay, thank you. So that's a struggle on that part. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions or comments from my colleagues, are there any public comments? Madam City Clerk?
I haven't received any.
Okay, no, thank you very much. And so this is for item number 17, resolution of finding of public convenience and necessity, PCN-11-23-16429, to sell alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption at Vera Market at 6189 Mission Street. I'm entertaining a motion for item number 17. Is there a motion for item number 17, resolution of finding for public convenience and necessity as mentioned, This was a continuance for this item. Unless there is further discussion, I'm asking for a motion at the table.
I motion.
Okay.
So move.
I have a first from Dr. Das Magbual. I will second that. And may we have roll call, please?
Ms. Giovanni,
Sadly, I'm a no.
Dr. Rod,
Yes.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, yes.
Ms. Manalo.
Yes. Okay. Well, this motion passes. We wish you the best of luck in your endeavor, and we also look forward to what you mentioned here on the dais today in regards to no advertisement, and then also looking to enhance with fresh produce in the neighborhood.
Right, Ms. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, question?
Go ahead,
me too.
Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you so much. You know, this was a very difficult motion, and it definitely weighs on us. And based upon what Mr. Lunghausen says, this is basically a handshake. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this council's basically giving you a chance. But if there's any kind of reports of either youth hanging about, I know you really can't control it, but you should make every attempt to make sure that there's no loitering in front of your place. And we're going to hold you to it. We will be in contact with law enforcement, and basically, we will put the scrutiny, it's going to be there. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. We basically are giving you a chance, and we feel we love business, and you deserve a chance, but please, don't take advantage of our kindness. I'm letting you know that right now. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Sylvester.
Mayor. Yeah, and based on me, because I've had people personal to me that passed, so, but I wish you the best, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 18, award of construction contract for Muscle Rock Landfill Upper Disposal Area Pullback Project.
Good evening. Happy New Year, Madam Mayor.
Happy
members
New
of the
Year.
City Council.
Happy New Year.
This item before you is the award of construction contract for the Muscle Rock Landfill Upper Disposal Area Pullback Project. As most of you know, Muscle Rock Landfill is a closed landfill. It's located adjacent to the Pacific Ocean near Westline Drive, and it has over 1 million cubic yards of waste. It is in an area that is subject to continuous land movement and erosion. The site basically contains two large landfill areas. One is the lower disposal area, which is the larger of the two, and the other is the upper disposal area at the northern portion of the site. Currently, in the upper disposal area, there is exposed waste due to landslide activity from the recent storms on the North Bluff area. And so in order to address that, some additional excavation and solid waste relocation is needed. We did put a project together, and it was advertised on November 22nd. We received 7 bids on December 13th, and the bids range from $1,033,482.57 to $2,194,950. ETIC of Pleasant Hill is the lowest responsible bidder. They have been in business since 1991, and they do hold the required Class A contractor's license, which is current and in good standing. If this is approved, it is anticipated that the work will begin in next month, in February, and completed by September of this year. The total estimated construction cost for the project is $1,343,527.34. This includes the construction cost as well as construction contingency, inspection, and contract administration. The city was awarded a grant in the amount of $750,000 to help with this project. We also had previously appropriated $950,000 of solid waste franchise fee funds for this project. And as a result of that, there is no additional appropriation required at this time. So in summary, staff is recommending that the City Council approve the design documents for the Muscle Rock Landfill Upper Disposal Area Pullback Project, affirm the CEQA determination of categorical exemption, accept all the bids, and award a construction contract to ETIC of Pleasant Hill, California, in the amount of $1,033,482.57. And lastly, authorize the city manager to execute all necessary contracts to complete the project. Staff is available to answer any additional questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Director Chu, for your presentation this evening. I know that this is only an award of a construction contract for Muscle Rock, but we definitely need this. And we need it as soon as possible, as we see how continuously deterioration has happened around the Muscle Rock landfill area, and just with kind of the weather situation that we have. But to see this today, to award the construction contract towards addressing a need that has been on our watch. It's been on our watch continuously. I want to thank you for your work on that. But when you answered my question that I was going to ask you, I wanted to know, when does this work start? And you said upon approval next month. And so I don't know if you have that crystal ball, but that was definitely a question I had. Because I know that this is something that we need. We've been watching this as a council continuously, but also, you know, it's wonderful that we had the dollars to fill in as far as grants to help afford this contract, and also just be able to keep this at bay. I mean, not at bay, but you know what I'm saying, like on land, but not in the water, because it really is serious. I mean, I know it's something that we've been dealing with for quite some time, but then to have this on the docket and to hear it start next month once we have the approval is crucial. It's crucial to our community, the environment, and the safety, all of the above. And so thank you for your hard work on this. I know that for you and your staff in regards to finding the best fit as far as who should do this work.
And thank you, Madam Mayor. And just to be clear, this work buys us time. It's not a complete solution. We will be, as most of you know, we're working on our upcoming budget cycle, and there's additional analysis to do, and so there will be more to come. But this does buy us some time, and it addresses an immediate issue that we face at this time.
Thank you for that clarity. Yeah, we're in here for the long haul for sure. But you know, whatever it takes as soon as possible, and then we'll do an analysis and with you and your team. So thank you for that. Yes, so I'll open it up. Vice
Through the
Mayor, do you
chair.
have any comments? Oh,
Just real briefly, I think it's important to point out that Richard and his staff has programmed in over 11.5 million for that area over the next 10 years. So at a minimum, that is staff's level of effort, and they'll also be looking for more grants and what have you to address the bigger problem. That's it.
thank you very much, City Manager. Like I said, excellent work on that, and I said, yeah, we're definitely here for the long haul because it's a large project and something that I know that we need to continue to focus on for the safety of our community, for the environment in our city, and so thank you for all your hard work and your commitment on this, Vice Mayor.
I just want to if you can give me a brief summary of like what will they specifically do in terms of this like initial project?
Yes, thank you for the question. The scope of work for this project is basically pulling back the material away from the cliff edge.
Okay.
Right now, it's very steep there due to wave action and land movement. It'll continue to erode away, and it's gotten to the point where the landfill is exposed. And so this is a massive grading project. It's pulling dirt away, resloping the dirt in that area. Some of the garbage that's excavated will be relocated to a different area, a lower area, more stable area. And then they will add, once they're done with regrading, there will be 2 foot of a soil cap replaced back on above the landfill, so there will be nothing exposed. It'll all be covered. There'll also be maybe some reseeding and you know, just to try to get the vegetation to be reestablished.
Thank you, Mr. Chu.
Thank you very much, Director Chu.
Just for a second. I don't repeat, I just know it's an undertaking, and I appreciate you and your staff working on this, because, I mean, the money only goes but so far, but let's just see if we can get other entities or other people to help us with the money too, because we're trying to put everything together, and the city manager's working on it, and it was on his list of asking for money, so, you know, wherever we can get it, well, you know, you have so many projects. This is one of the most important, if they all aren't important. And Mr. Chu, hats off to you as the head of your department and to your engineers. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other questions, do you have any questions or comments, Councilmember Sylvester?
None, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So with no questions, comments, do we have any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I move to approve the construction contract, Muscle Rock Landfill Upper Disposal Area Pullback. Do I have a second?
Second?
And may we have a roll call, please?
Ms. DiGiovanni?
Aye.
Dr. Rod?
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester?
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Ms. Manalo?
Aye, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now moving on to appointments of board and commission membership committee appointments. Do my colleagues have any commission or board appointments? Looking like there is none. Now moving on to council committee reports. Are there any council committee reports? Seeing none, do we have any city council reports? Okay, Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Basically, it's no report but a request of our city manager. On or about November 22nd, I received a letter from a concerned group. I think they call themselves Thursday Dance Group. And to my, what I know is they're either going to be moved or something's going to be done temporarily. And the other side I'm hearing is that they will leave Daly City and go to Coma. So basically, I'd like to get an update if possible as to what's going on, what has happened. I didn't hear a thing other than what the letter indicated and talking with a few folks, so I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Madam
very
Mayor.
much. Council Member.
Thank you. Yeah, and I support Councilmember Sylvester. I received the same letter. I was just wanted to remind our council that this is something we can work on together. Currently, I think I brought it out that we can work on an ordinance involving the NorCal carpenters and the information they gave Mr. Von Lockenhausen a while ago. And that ordinance would include a lot of the language from the LOI. The city of Berkeley has one. And just to let my council know, I am aware other cities are already working on this particular ordinance. And I think that Daly City, with my colleagues, that we could be the first on this, rather than other cities already working on that and figuring out how we can put that language in there to protect people's, when they work on their sites for their safety and hire locally. And I think the information to Mr. Piccolotti was given to Mr. Von Lockenhausen by Juan Espinosa from the NorCal Carpenters and the details. So I think that's something we could work on together, and I think we're all supportive of the same issue in this manner, and I look forward to seeing what we could do together. Thank you. And I'll save everything else due to the lack of time. It's 10:15 to hold the staff up the next time for reporting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will say my announcements because if I put this off to the next meeting, they'll be in the next meeting. And so I'll do this very quickly and I can give you a copy, Madam City Clerk, if you need so. So I just wanted to say Happy New Year's to everyone. The holiday season was definitely a very, very busy one. So it was really great to work with a DC Host Lions Club and having their breakfast and ceremony, breakfast with Santa, to put on the smiles to families and children. Also, just a wonderful time at the commissioners' dinner with all of, right? You echo that, Vice Mayor. All our board of trustees, our commissioners, our committee members. I know that you all do this with volunteer and your heart, and so I just want to say thank you so much. It is a small token of thank you from the city of Daly City. I was able also to go to the grand opening of Peninsula Books. So if you frequent Westlake, there is now a small bookstore, a community-based bookstore that also is open to doing community events located at 441 Westlake Center. Also attended the Crocker Masonic Lodge induction with Venancio, well, Veni, we know him as Veni Acevedo, and his fellow officers. Also was able to attend the South San Francisco reorganization for Mayor James Coleman and also Vice Mayor Eddie Flores. Also attended the Coma reorganization for Mayor Goodwin and also for Vice Mayor Ken Gonzalez. The Northern Carpenters, I know they were here today. I attended an event that honored Supervisor David Canepa in his work around housing. Also attended the Jefferson Union High School District and Jefferson Elementary School District Immigrant Resource Night. It was really phenomenal to see. And I should also add that the Bayshore School, Bayshore School also participated in this. But you talk about communities coming together to provide resources in the community. You had medical providers, you had nonprofits, you had the union laborers, like everyone working together to provide resources. You had Cora there, you had, the mental health initiative. So you talk about wraparound services, that was really well done. Also was able to attend a Daly City Colma Chamber of Commerce Business Achievement Gala, and I want to share with all of one that City of Daly City did receive an award, an appreciation of our support of them, and I will be providing that and handing that over to our city manager, Tom Piccoletti. We can put it in that in that atrium area on the lower, so I'll hand that over to you. The 2023 holiday toy drive and tree lighting event with many of the City of Daly City employees. I want to say thank you to Director Natalie Sakal for such a wonderful treat to give to our employees and really the opportunity to collaborate to give toys for those in need. And then also the age-friendly town hall that was right here in this at City Hall. I would say that it was attended with Marianne Mann and also recreation staff who are definitely close with our older adults and provided insights to our age-friendly task force. Also was able to join the California Nurses Association, also with NUHW in regards to Seton Hospital, and to hear firsthand what is happening from them as workers in Seton Hospital. Also attended the CCAG regular board meeting monthly, which I attended in San Carlos. And also such a wonderful giveaway at the Bay Shore. There were over 2,000 recipients in regards to their special toy giveaway. And for the record, I will be inviting PIT and all of their supporters for that wonderful event here at our next council meeting to honor them and the tremendous work they do in our community. Also, there was a special screening at Century 21 with Assembly Member Phil Ting, also with former Assembly Member David Chu, and the organization APOLF. I know that Vice Mayor attended as well, called The Race Epidemic, which was a special screening on the history of Asian American communities from the 1800s to now around discrimination. And then also attended the Winter Wonderland. I have to also acknowledge the recreation staff, Denise, for your outstanding work, and all of those who put together such a phenomenal event. It was just amazing, amazing. And to see every single year, there's like more fun things every single year for the children. And then also attended Christmas musical at Crossroads Christian Center, and we talked about small businesses as legacy businesses, as well as new businesses coming into our community, and welcome La Belle Rose Med Spa in ceremony. And lastly, I also wanted to mention that we will be getting some support from San Mateo County in regards to domestic violence. I know that I was able to speak to our San Mateo County Sheriff that has been in contact with Acting Chief Christensen in regards to that program. I think that at Daly City becoming one of the pilot cities in regards to addressing domestic violence is huge. And so I wanted to also share that with the community members watching today. And please, thank you for allowing me to share, that this was in 2023. If I push it over to next month, that's a little further back. But I wanted to share all the amazing things that are happening in our community, and all of the things that happened in December of 2023. Now, looking ahead, we have 2024 ahead of us, and I, with City Manager Tom and all of the executive staff, along with my colleagues here in the dais, I am very optimistic that we are going to have a productive and amazing year ahead for the cities, our workers in Daly City. Thank you so much. So now moving on to staff. City Manager? None? Okay, at this point, we will now move into adjourn in memory. And oops, where's my phone? Okay. Okay, here it is. And so right now, I'd like to hand it over to Council Member Di Giovanni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that Mr. Sylvester may know this gentleman. So from SFO Roundtable, he was a consummate speaker at the SFO Roundtable, Peter Graves, and it was with the memory that was given to me, and I duly noted that Terry O'Connell, the mayor of Brisbane, wanted Mr. Sylvester to know as well, and the community. This gentleman is Peter Graves. He was not just a public speaker when he came to the SFO Roundtable as a member of the Brisbane community. He shared all his technical experience. He unfortunately was hit by a car while riding his bicycle with his family. And that was like, I believe, the beginning of December. And I know you remember well how wonderful he was and how he actually helped us at the SFO Roundtable with his knowledge, with his presence. There's everything about him. And council and actually other cities are going to be closing and adjourning in his memory because he made so much of an impact on all of us, not just at the roundtable, but in our communities. So with that, my condolences to his family, to Mayor Terry O'Connell in Brisbane, the Brisbane Council, and all the residents in Brisbane, and to all my fellow electeds on this roundtable, as well as to Councilmember Sylvester, who I'm sure remembers him well. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Sylvester.
Thank you. Councilmember Di Giovanni, thank you for that remembrance. Yes, I do remember
Yes.
Mr. Graves. And, as life goes, you meet so many people, and especially when they speak English, but they have an accent.
Yeah.
When that ever happens, it makes you listen more intently, and that I will never forget, because he definitely spoke. All right, I'd like to close in memory of, I actually have three, and I'm sorry, Angie, I didn't give you the other name, because when I saw the agenda tonight, I says, oh, nobody else put that name up there, and everybody on this council is going to know this person when I bring it up. So anyway, I'd like to first acknowledge, close in memory of Perita Bulos Cuema. Basically, she's the mother of someone who I trained and has become well-known within the department, and a great police officer he is. The next is Officer Tuan Lay. Tuan Lay is an Oakland police officer. While handling a burglary in a cannabis shop, he made the ultimate sacrifice and lost his life. Okay, the third person, I'd like to close in memory of Mr. Robert M. Brizuela.
Oh, I was doing that on the 22nd.
You was going to do it on the 22nd?
Yeah,
All right, then.
because Marie said so, yeah.
Okay, then what I would like
We'll
to
do it together.
I'll defer to you on the 22nd.
No, both of us together.
Yeah, but I just want to give a part of it because he worked for Daly City as an arborist, cut trees, over 31 years. He met his wife, Marie Brizuela, which was very, very special to me because she signed my son's graduation certificate from T.R. Policita, and my son is 48 years old. So you know how long that is. But I'll leave the rest up to Councilmember Di Giovanni. Thank you. Thank you so much for the time, everyone.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Sylvester, and deepest condolences to Marie Boswell and her family. Go ahead.
I also like to close in memory of Martin Luther King Jr. It's next week, and I would like to close in memory of his legacy and his work, his struggle. Never died with him, but it continues in the work that we all do for racial justice and liberation for all people.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. At this point, I would like to adjourn in memory of Andre Pontevedra Villarmino. Andre Pontevedra Villarmino, a beloved member of the Daly City Commission, passed away peacefully on December 15, 2023, at the age of 99. Andre was born on October 18 in Santa Cruz, Manrique, the eldest son of Natalia and Tomas Bellarmino, hardworking farmers and copra workers. He met his first wife, Dominica, during World War II. They had 3 sons, Oscar, Ruben, and Andrew. In the early 1950s, he moved to Manila, where he attended college and worked various jobs to support his family and their education. Highly ambitious and a seeker of knowledge, Andre pursued law degree at Lyceum of the Philippine University while employed as a human resource manager at Mayon Metal Corporation in Manila. During this time, he honed his skill in successful networking, which played a vital role in his eldest son, Oscar's, continuing medical education at the University of Santo Tomas. Andre's legal acumen found expression representing the National Union Workers of the Philippines. After immigrating to America in 1969, he was a cashier manager at UCSF Hospital. He retired after 21 years of service. Andre was a mover and shaker within the Daly City community and leaves an indelible mark upon the hearts of those he touched. He served as past president of the Filipino Bayanihan Resource Center, the Marinduque Association of Northern California, and the Ceremony Homeowners Association. Additionally, he held positions as chairman of the Daly City Parks and Recreation Commission, treasurer and advisor of the Filipino American Democratic Club of San Mateo County, and San Mateo County Commissioner on Aging. Andre's proudest moment was watching his eldest son, Oscar, graduate from medical school and become a successful orthopedic surgeon in the U.S. With unwavering determination, Andre petitioned his mother, Natalia, brother Roman, and his sons, Ruben, along with his wife and 5 children, and Andrew to the U.S. His children admired his accomplishments, especially considering his humble beginnings, and are grateful for his role in pioneering the Villarmino family's journey to a more successful and prosperous life in America. In his free time, Andre enjoyed traveling the world with his second wife, Herminia. They kept meticulous travel diaries documenting their adventures. Andre's love for travel inspired his children and grandchildren to explore the world. He was an avid reader and excellent writer. He was stoic, reserved, yet sociable, and enjoyed entertaining. Andre is survived by his sons, Ruben Bellarmino, Andrew Bellarmino, along with 10 grandchildren and several great-grandchildren. He is also survived by his brother Roman Bellarmino. Andre was preceded in death by his son Oscar Bellarmino, MD, his first wife Dominica, and his second wife Herminia. Andre Pontevedra Bellarmino will be deeply missed by all those who had the pleasure of knowing him. His indomitable spirit and legacy of hard work, ambition, and love for his family and community will continue to inspire generations to come. And also like to send sincere condolences to the relatives and their immediate family members of our staff, and also employees of past employees of the city of Daly City. So, in a journey of memory of the following: Terry Sedick, retired Director of Economic and Community Development; Janet Finney, the mother of Betsy Sobel, HCD Manager; Ku Yu Zhao Wu, grandfather of Wayne Kai, Custodian of Public Works; Robert Alfredo Salinas, father of Oswaldo Salinas, our groundkeeper in Public Works. May we all have a moment of silence. Thank you.